Good morning. It is Glenn Clark Radio. I would be Glenn. That would be Griffin. Allegedly, Drew will be joining us. Do we know if he did the thing that we said he had to do in order to come in this morning?
I did not get a confirmation.
Yeah, that smells like he's trying to sneak around it, and I'm not okay with that. Because I got nothing else to talk. What the hell am I going to talk to him about today?
There was a tennis. He likes tennis, doesn't he?
No, I mean, he doesn't actually care.
When does Coco start?
What do you mean, when does Coco start?
When she
when is her match?
When's her match? Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought it was at like 8:30. That's why I had it on when you got in here. And I was like, oh, she's not playing yet.
You only care about Coco Gauff?
Who else am I going to care about?
I don't know. All of the tennis players?
Yeah, like Coco Gauff.
She's one of them, yes. You're right. She is a tennis player. That is, you figured that part out. I don't understand. Do you not like tennis, but only?
I mean, I do enjoy
tennis. I'm so
tennis.
Confused about the obsession with Coco Gauff.
Well, because she's good and she's American.
She's good-ish.
And she's a phenom.
Kind of not anymore. Okay,
well, that's why I got to watch her to support her.
Okay.
So I can know that she's going to continue to be a phenom.
Look, man, I would like nothing more than for Coco Gauff to
win all the slams.
She did, of course, reach a final last year, so she did have at least one trip to a final.
Here you are saying
what?
She's an okay tennis player.
She's good-ish. She is a good tennis player. She's certainly deserving of being, ranked in the top 20, things like that. But she's not a championship caliber tennis player. And I get it. She's still 19.
Bite your tongue.
Still plenty of time for her to get to that point, and I hope she gets there for what it's worth.
How old was Serena when she won her first?
Serena was 17, I want to say, when she won her first. I mean, but comparing anyone, I think this is one of the. Look, I don't know why we're doing this. I hate this because it feels like much like Sloane Stephens had to go through this because Coco Gauff is black, she's being compared to. No one's going to be Serena Williams. It's nonsense. Stop it. Serena Williams is not going to happen again. Okay. Stop. It's ridiculous. If Coco Gauff wins like 2 Grand Slam titles in her life, she will have had an unbelievable career, far beyond any reasonable expectations. Because she came into our consciousness at such an absurdly young age with that run at Wimbledon, we have created absurd standards for her that are not in any world reasonable or legitimately possible. Now, again, she has backed them up to an extent, even by just making one slam final. Like, just one slam final is enough to say, okay, it was worth putting the hype on her. She's that good. But if you ever thought that she was going to be a future Serena Williams, you're insane. That's not going to happen.
Well, for the tennis casuals like me, that's what draws me in.
Okay. I would encourage you to watch all of the tennis players. They're very good.
I don't have the tennis channel like you do. So.
I mean, you don't have the tennis channel.
I don't have it.
Well, you can't. You can get it.
Yeah,
it's an option.
I don't want to.
Whatever.
Go get it.
Coming up on the program today, we're going to go to Bowie. We're going to chat with Garrett Stallings. Just had a really nice start. Maybe he could start for the Orioles. Maybe that could be an idea next time they need. And it's not in 5 days because they have a day off on Monday, and we'll see how they handle that. But next weekend when they need a starter again. Settle down over there. Turn his mic off until I'm ready for him. Also this morning, someone who's actually accomplished, Reid Wiseman. He's going to the moon. The moon! I did not know this. I didn't realize it had been over 50 years since human beings had gone to the moon. Reid Wiseman is going to lead Artemis 2 for NASA. He is, of course, Baltimore's own, and went to Delaney. Reid Wiseman will check in with us this morning as well.
Drew, can I ask you to slide to the right so the TV's not in the shot, and then we can keep the camera on, or should we just leave the camera off?
What? Yeah, well, that might be the better. Yeah. That might be the better of the options because I'm not turning. What I know I'm not doing is turning the TV off. Not during the French Open. That will not happen. That's all coming up on the program today. But first, I've got a lot of questions about your appearance this morning. Because I said you weren't allowed in today unless you watched Ted Lasso.
Well, I watched it.
Why that response? What?
This is a tough morning.
Why?
Did you watch the show last night?
Oh, okay, I did. Is that really what you're reacting to? You're just sad about it?
just disappointed.
Disappointed in the fact they didn't win the league, or what?
A little bit. I had them plus 2.5.
Oh, that was a mistake.
You know,
They
just
crawled out of that 2-0 hole,
down
though.
in the dumps.
Because of a phantom Jamie Tart penalty.
Oh, you're going
You
war.
watch yourself.
You're going war on that. I don't
And
understand.
I'm just very disappointed in pitching.
Well, yeah, that I would agree with. But you're disappointed because you bet what? What did you bet yesterday?
I didn't bet. I was busy yesterday. I didn't get the chance to bet. That's another thing.
I wouldn't bet.
It's another thing I'm disappointed
The
in.
moment they said that Keegan Aiken was starting, I probably would have chosen not to bet. In fact, if anything, I think it would have gone the other way in my choices about betting.
I hope this isn't the first crack. I'm trying not to overreact.
Mm-hmm.
I hope this isn't the first crack in the old shield here.
John Mioli and I talked about that the other day. Like, you don't want to be over dramatic about this right now.
But this is how it happens.
It's
This is not when you look back at the way teams like I hate to even use that word, like when you look at the way teams collapse, it's never that they hit and then they stop hitting.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do that. Teams pitch, and then all of a sudden everybody goes, I can't pitch anymore. When you collapse, you always collapse because of pitching. It's never because of hitting.
But look, the pitching for the most part has been okay. It's the funny.
That's
the
what
funny
I'm
thing,
saying. I'm getting
right.
now. This is and by the way, this is right around the time you're rolling along for 10 weeks. In 9 weeks, you're buzzing along, and then you get a little. Then you get a crack.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go to another series. You get another little crack, and then all of a sudden, the middle of June comes, and you can't get anybody out.
Correct.
So I'm hoping that that's not what this is, but we've given up, and I'm thinking back to the Texas series. We've given up 12 runs in 2 games. Even the other night when we were 7-1 ahead, we're biting our nails at the end.
Yeah, it's not a day that you would expect to have to use Yenny or Cano.
Right.
It's not a day that.
I'm still optimistic. I'm not. I do see that this is what you get along the way, and you have the ebbs and flows of the season, but this is not looking great considering that now we're one guy away. We're Bradish or Kramer or Wells grabbing their elbow away from really being in trouble.
So it's funny that you bring it up with the pitching, because the bigger concern, I think, before last night had been that the offense had been a mess for the last week or so.
But if your offense is a mess, you can still cobble together 3-2 wins and 4-3 wins.
You can, but that's a little bit unreasonable, right?
I know you're negative. I get it.
Oh, yes, I'm naturally negative. That's who I am.
This is so disappointing last night. Now, did Ted and
hang on, we'll get back to it. We're going to talk about it. Trust me, we're going to talk about it.
I have a lot of questions about last night.
I promise you, we're going to talk about it. All
They
right.
didn't sleep together, did they?
We're going to talk about it. Chill for a second.
I meant Fred
okay?
and the Beard.
Oh, yes. The answer is
was that
Coach Beard. Yeah,
that wasn't
I think that might have
what
been
I thought it was. When
I don't
the
know.
3 of them appeared, was it?
I don't know. It was a weird setup.
It was a
weird setup. Well, chill. All right.
All right.
Chill.
Let's talk about real sports.
Stop.
Jack Nicklaus lighting up the live guys.
What? Who
Poor
cares
Jack,
about that?
senile Jack, tearing into Brooks Koepka after Koepka just
well,
won the PGA.
you know what? Probably deserves to be torn
Right.
into, if I'm being honest with you.
Tell those people we're doing a radio show.
Exactly. Tell those people we're doing a radio show, as Drew says. So a couple things about this, because when we bring this up, I think the biggest issue is the Cedric Mullins injury, right? Like, that's the most significant part of everything.
Well, yes, and Rodriguez stinking it up.
Sure. It's both things, right?
Rodriguez stinking it up has sent them into a tailspin.
I think yesterday it sent them into. I don't know that I could say Rodriguez specifically is what sent them into to a tailspin.
No, but
it's interesting that the two games that they've given up the most runs are, one, a game that he started, and 2, the game that he was supposed to start after that.
I thought he pitched yesterday.
Right.
I was coming back from Pittsburgh, and I'm like,
oh, right, it's
damn, we
Grayson.
lost 12-8, but Rodriguez got killed again. And then I realized, oh, that's right. He wasn't even there.
It's interesting that their strategy wasn't to call up Cole Irvin. Like, that part of it is interesting to me.
When he was here, he wasn't any good.
I understand that, but he had actually started pitching well, and he was in line to pitch yesterday. So it's interesting that they went with the answer of, we're not going to have a starting pitcher until in the month of May. Here are Cole Irvin's numbers: 3-1, 2.52 ERA, 0.68 WHIP.
Okay.
it's interesting to me that they knew they were going to need a starting pitcher. They had Cole Irvin lined up. He was coming off a 5-inning outing in which he had, given up 2 hits and no walks. And they said, we'd rather try to bullpen our way through this start than give Cole Irvin another shot. I'm really confused by the thought process there. And particularly the night before, when you realized that you had to use the guys that count in your bullpen, when you had to put out Cano for more than an inning and he wasn't going to be available now because of it, despite the fact that you had a 7-0 lead in the second inning, and that never should have been the case.
Right.
They ended up having to go that route, and they still said, we'll just take our chances of bullpenning our way through this thing.
And I do think that there are games, plural, one or two a month, which seems like a pretty significant part of your schedule. It's 8% of your schedule over 6 months. I do think there are games that you just kind of sort of lose on purpose, or at least go into it
saying it's not the end of the world. And maybe if they say
they don't ever do that in football, right? Unless you're
unless you're bad, right? Correct.
They don't.
Well, the Cardinals are going to do that all season this year. They've decided they're going to go ahead and lose 17.
Right, they're going to get rid of their quarterback. They're going to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think basketball teams, that's all part of this load management BS, right? Basketball teams do it. It's funny. I don't want to put hockey on a pedestal. I feel like hockey players would punch the coach in the face if the coach said, we're taking this one off tonight.
They're a different breed.
Hockey players definitely. Now, the Caps over the last couple of years have, if Ovechkin's nicked up, they're like, okay, you sit this one out tonight. But for the most part, there's no load management in. We got to come up with a better term, by the way, than that. There's no load management in hockey. The players would rebel.
I hear you.
Basketball players are dying to not play.
Well, okay, but
baseball.
It's interesting.
If you lose, baseball there now. Here's the good news: the Orioles, and I'm throwing this out. I don't even know if this is true. In May, June, July, August, and September, the Orioles will trot out a lineup in 2 or 3 games per month that, as last night was, where they say, we're probably going to lose, and we don't really care, right? It's the same thing with all this other garbage about putting these field players in as pitchers and embarrassing the sport. Like, you don't care at that point when it's the 12th inning. You just or the 8th inning and you're losing 10-2. All you care about is I got to get this game over and move next game. Here's the good news. The other teams are doing that to you too. Pretty much. You just don't know when. So in 3 weeks, the Blue Jays will throw out one of those lineups one night after they lost 11-10 in Chicago and 9-8 in Chicago.
But is it like when they realize Austin Hayes isn't going to play the next day? Is that the moment where they say, "Well, what the hell? We'll just throw"?
Maybe.
The interesting part is that they seem to always.
Now, is Hayes now going to be the center fielder?
Well, I think he's got to be for a little while.
And so,
unless he's legitimately
McKenna will.
Yeah,
I mean, you might as well play ahead of that McKenna dude. That guy stinks, man.
Okay, wait a second. We're not going to do that.
That guy stinks.
He's a good defensive player. He is a. That's all Jorge Mateo.
That's
all Jorge Mateo is.
Now that's true now.
Like that, you got to be honest about this.
I think I swung and missed on him.
Correct.
No pun intended.
Well, I think a lot of us did. We got very excited about it. It turns out he's Felix PA. I mean, he's better. That's not fair. He's a good defensive player. He's a really good defensive player.
He's a great defensive player who can't hit a lick.
Not even a little bit.
I mean, the guy from Major League is laughing at him about not being able to hit the breaking ball. He is terrible.
I understand.
And he swings it. He doesn't even walk. Well, of course he doesn't walk. They throw the ball right over the plate and he can't hit it.
Correct.
But now you see, over time, who was it? Padres or the Angels?
Yes.
Where did we get Padres?
Yes.
Why now you see over time why they go,
we're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Right.
And I would say now, trying again not to overreact like I did before when I said put him in the Hall of Fame, it could almost be a blessing in disguise. It could almost be a blessing in disguise
because you can just move on.
Because a year ago, you and I were saying,
what
are we going to do with all these players? Because we got Mateo and he's going to go to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Well, now it ain't looking like he's going anywhere.
No, it doesn't
Except
look like
maybe to another team.
Correct. Well, I don't know if anybody else is interested at this point. Look, I think Jorge Mateo.
But anyway,
at
to
some
go back
point,
to McKenna,
right.
he is the same thing. He can't hit a lick. He has 2 weeks where
Right,
where he
he
hits
gets a couple of
9
hits.
for
I
18.
I understand.
And everybody's like, put him in all the time, and then he'll go 2 for 22.
But they are in a position.
I don't mind the Vavra guy. I can't even believe I'm saying
he's
that.
fine. They're in a position where they're either going to get Cedric Mullins back in a couple of weeks, or they're going to have to get Colton Cowser here in a couple of weeks.
Well, get you. Okay, so
it's one or the other, and they just have.
So you're
to
completely dismissing that Aaron Hicks could be serviceable.
Well, Aaron Hicks got hurt. Aaron Hicks was here for a day
Already
and is
out.
already injured.
He did get 2 hits though.
He did, and a walk. Like he was a monster.
Take that, Yankees.
Yeah, correct. I mean, bet you feel stupid now. Well, Aaron Hicks wasn't here to be the answer at all. Like he was here to be
but
part of this. He
he-
was here to be part of the platoon to get them
Right.
through until they get one or the
Aaron
other.
Hicks had to
answer.
run out there last night and go, "Holy cow, what have I done?
What do you mean?
I was playing in the Bronx.
Oh,
I
don't
was a
think he thought about
Yankee.
that. I think he was grateful for the fact that he had a job. My God, he
Oh, I
hasn't
don't
been
think
good in
he-
a long time.
cares too much about
Is
money.
is
do you?
she that wealthy that?
I think more than
I know
him.
she's related
I
to
mean-
Tiger, but like, is she actually that wealthy?
No, I don't think so.
Like, I don't think he's just giving her money, and I don't think has she actually accomplished anything on her in her
Is this you're talking about?
Cheyenne? Yeah.
I
If you don't know, Aaron Hicks, is he married to her? Or is he?
don't think. I think he's doing the Derek Jeter thing.
But they're together, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I mean they're ostensibly married, but he doesn't want to get married because
Okay.
then then he's married.
Who would
Kinda
want
like,
that?
so like
Yeah.
what you said to me. You're like, I don't
Yeah,
know if I should get married because
Well,
then I'm.
When you're Aaron Hicks and you have so much going for you, why
Yeah,
would you
right.
bother to get married? Cheyenne Woods is his niece, is Tiger
Oh, right.
Woods'
You
niece.
said cousin, right?
Right. And she's won once on the ladies' European tour.
She stinks.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
is she?
she's no
I don't think she's
How
wealthy.
is she Tiger's niece? Oh, I know how.
How?
Tiger's dad had other children.
Okay. Okay.
No.
I don't know.
Wait.
Hang on a second.
No,
I got
wait,
it.
You mean he had
chill
brothers
out.
and sisters?
No.
She is a daughter of Susan Woods and Earl Dennison Woods Jr., who is golfer Tiger Woods' half brother. So yes.
Okay, so
Earl
yeah.
had.
Earl had an older son than Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
An older son
Yes.
from either a different relationship or
Whatever. Yeah.
and this is that guy's daughter.
Daughter.
Gotcha.
Correct. Yes.
I can guarantee you
Mm-hmm.
the amount of money or wealth or goodness or benefit she's received from Tiger.
Benefits. There's plenty of words that you can use that I will agree with. I just don't know that she's wealthy.
No, listen to me. Let me
Right.
finish.
Uh-huh.
The amount of that
Mhm.
she's received directly from Tiger
Oh, is minimal.
is as much as you've received.
Yeah, I believe that. If we know.
Tiger probably says to her,
Yeah.
all the money you're making
Mhm.
making because of your last name
Correct.
that
So
happens to also be
So
mine.
you can thank me for that.
So you can thank me
That's
for
what
that.
you get for
But
Christmas
if you
this
think
year.
I'm
Right.
granting you $100 grand a
That's
year,
what I'm saying. I don't.
you're
think,
not getting
I
that.
don't think she's wealthy. I think she's fine, and I don't think she needs anything. I think there are advantages to being Tiger Woods' niece, but I'd be surprised
Yeah,
if
it would be different if she were Earl's daughter from a different relationship.
Yes.
Then she might have a claim to some of the trust, if you will.
Right. Right.
This makes her a panhandler in Tiger's eyes.
Well, hang on. We should probably use the word allegedly.
Alle-
Let's be
well,
very
but-
careful about
Right.
how
But
we
Tiger
just
is
definitively
well
say
known
things.
for his
Yes, and that's
Thrifty
Aaron,
nature.
Aaron Hicks' partner is Cheyenne Woods.
right.
I don't know if we have an update yet on Aaron Hicks. I'm not really living and dying on
Aaron.
whether or not we get an update on Aaron Hicks. They just have to piece this thing through until they get to one of these answers
What's
or
the
the other.
story with the Mullins thing? Is that
It's a groin tear or strain, and which
Right.
of course we know that a
is that
strain
not
is a
good?
tear or whatever. Yeah, it's not good, but like the understanding, at least what Mike Elias was selling, was that it could be worse. He's saying it's weeks, not months, but they're going to be vague about that. And as we pointed out yesterday, John Harbaugh told us it was days to weeks for Lamar Jackson last season.
hasn't played since.
Correct. So I don't know.
and might not ever play again?
I don't
You
think
can put
that's
that
the
thing down to
case.
21.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go all the way back to that.
As soon as he gets
You-
his money,
You were at
he's
100.
going to start cramping up.
You were at 100. Yeah, they
I'm
get
just. I'm worried about the pitching. I'll give it. Its. I'll give it its time here to wiggle. Where are they in San Francisco and then Milwaukee?
Yeah.
San Francisco's
Well,
decent.
and let me be fair. The pitching outside of Grayson Rodriguez,
Well, and outside
for
of
the
the
most
last
part, has been fine.
7 days, I would say the last 7 games, it's been a little, unsettling. The one game we lost.
Gibson start before. 2 nights ago.
The one game we lost in New York. Now we went to Toronto and beat them 3 straight.
Mhm.
2 of them, albeit in extras, but that's fine.
Mhm.
And then Texas clobbered us, and Cleveland somehow beat us.
Yeah, but it scored about 1 billion runs when they can't hit, which is not ideal. I understand that. Like, it ain't ideal. But I'm not, to your point, I'm not panicked about the pitching as much
Dylan
as
Tate's sitting back going, yeah, you guys all thought I stunk, huh?
well, I would say the bigger problem right now is Givens.
Terrible.
Like that's alarming.
This is what, 7? He's 6 games. Has he appeared in 6? I think I saw.
Okay, that sounds right.
5 or 6.
It's alarming how
He hadn't been in good, and I don't think he's been good in any of them.
it's been awful. It's been absolutely awful. And
6 appearances.
I'm pulling it up right now.
At
Yes,
some point.
yes, 6 games.
Yeah,
Guess what his whip is?
1.47.
You wish.
2.
2. Keep going.
Oh my God.
2.5. 2.5.
I want everybody to understand something.
Yeah.
Because you do have to have a
Four hits
Listen.
and 6 walks
Listen.
over 4 innings.
right. That means you're allowing
Yes.
2.5 base runners.
Yes.
Per inning.
That's correct. Correct. Well, he came in yesterday, got 0 outs, loaded up the bases.
Walks and hits per inning
And said-
is the acronym.
Good luck. And dipped. It was rough.
Yeah, you can't.
Real
I mean,
rough.
for the uneducated, which some of you would say that's us.
That's what we could call this show.
You really want to be right.
Yeah,
You
right.
really want to be in the 1.25 or less range.
Yes.
1.180 is the historical.
Correct.
It's Jim Palmer's career whip.
Exactly
And it's the
right.
historical. If you can throw 1.180, you're great.
Yep.
Well, 1.25 is good. 1.35 is fine. 2.5, not so much.
Yep. Not so much.
Yeah.
2.5 is you can't do this.
Give him the gas, Ricky.
God. By the way, how is Palmer somehow getting better? How is it possible that Palmer...
Well, he's been in a fight on Twitter with people for the last 3 weeks.
It's been amazing.
It's
I
unbelievable.
love it so much.
Guy sent him a text
Yeah.
or a note and said, dude, you're getting worse. You're terrible. By the way, what's wrong with your eye? Palmer's like, nothing really. I just had cancer in it. But
Love the guy.
I love it.
I love him
Palmer's
so
the
much.
guy goes, you're terrible. You're losing it. You don't know what you're talking about anymore. And by the way, what's wrong with your eye?
By the way, it's
And
also
Palmer's like-
it's also not Jim Palmer
Palmer's
is
like, I got cancer
Jim
in my eye, but don't let that get to you.
Jim Palmer is better at handling replays than Jim Palmer was at pitching. Jim Palmer, whenever there's a replay, immediately explains exactly what happened in that moment, tells you exactly, and he's right
I will never
more
forget.
frequently than the umpires are correct.
I will never forget when an inning before the Jonathan Scope Grand Slam, when he called that Grand Slam in San
Right.
Francisco.
Right.
He said, if we get
Oh, he had a moment the other day too where he saw where
we
he
get a
saw
runner
something-
on
I
here.
wish I could
If
remember
we get
what
a
it was.
runner on here in the 8th, and we can get to the top of the lineup next inning, they're going
Mm-hmm.
to bring that left-hander Garcia in. We just got to get a runner on. If we don't get a runner on, they're not going to bring him in. But if we can get a runner on here and switch the order up on them, then they get a runner on. And Palmer's like, this sets up pretty nice for us in the next inning. I'm like, Jim, they're losing
Yeah.
7-4. You buffoon.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, guy gets a hit. And Palmer's like, all we need is one more hit. We get one more hit, and then they're going to be forced to do A, B, and C. We get another hit. Palmer's like, this is setting up great for Scope.
Mm-hmm.
If we just get one more, you know what's going to happen here, too? And he goes through the whole thing, and he's like, well, here comes Scope. If the guy throws Scope a breaking ball, he's going to hit it out of the ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Breaking ball, grand slam.
Yep.
I took all my clothes off and just sat there.
I don't blame it. He's
watched the rest
he's
of the game.
unbelievable. Yesterday, Bauman comes in, faces Ramirez. First pitch, Ramirez fouls off, and Palmer. The way that he described it was his way of saying the Orioles are about to be down by 5. Like the way that I wish you could go back and he was like, literally the first pitch, and Arnold says, "Well," and Ramirez, that one's foul, and Palmer makes a noise like, Yeah. Like, you could hear it in his voice.
It's coming.
Like, prepare yourself.
It's coming.
Like, and by the way, I think he got Ramirez out, if I remember correctly, and then it all went to hell. I think.
And I did the same thing on Sunday, or was it Monday? Was that Memorial? I was at a Memorial Day gathering. I forget what day it was. And I think it was Monday actually. And
that was Memorial Day.
No, it was Sunday.
Okay.
And I was watching the ninth inning with my buddy Ray and Fusey when Batista came in against the Rangers, and I'm like, this is done.
Right.
You know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to get ahead of him, and then he's going to throw a couple low to try to get him to chase it. And I forget who the left-handed dude was that came up at the end, and Ray and I are laughing. We're like, dude, this is all he's doing now is deciding
toying with him. Right.
what count he wants to strike him out on. Like, do I want to just throw 3 in a row by you, or do I want it to be 2 and 2 when I strike you out? Like, how am I going to go about this?
Yep. All right. I am with you in general. I do think that this is a very important.
I would say these next 6 games are important.
Yeah.
Even if we go 3 and 3, but we lose 3-2 and 4-2 and 2-1,
the pitching doesn't implode,
and we don't lose 9-7 and 11-8. I think these next 6 are important.
And by that point, if you start to hear reports like, hey, Mullins is progressing, he's going to be that goes a long way towards, all right, let's just stem the tide to get to where Cedric Mullins is back, and we'll be all right. For as disappointing as the last week has been, they still finished 4 games over 500 for the month of May, and if they can play roughly 500 ball the rest of the way, they're going to be okay. Now, they're not going to accomplish the biggest goals.
They haven't had the hardest schedule yet.
I don't know. The last month was pretty difficult, man. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like we chewed up on a lot of we haven't played Oakland now, have we?
Did they? I thought they played Oakland in April.
Yeah.
Not in April. Yeah.
We only won 3 of 4.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing, isn't it? It's pretty embarrassing.
Do they have 10 wins or 11?
12. They got. I think they won 2 against the Braves.
That's right. They did.
Oh my God,
that's
hilarious.
It's really embarrassing.
They beat the Braves 2 out of 3 in Oakland.
Did you hear? Okay, just quickly, and you weren't here for this. So Connor Norby got everybody worked up yesterday. A lot of people freaked out on Twitter. So we had Connor Norby on the show yesterday, and
he is who?
Okay, that's not good. You know what?
Go ahead.
Can I tell you that Martina Navratilova did that this morning on the Tennis Channel broadcast of a player that was playing against Jannik Sinner, who just straight up said, "I've never heard of that person."
I love it.
She's calling the French Open on the only American broadcast available.
Right. Never heard of
and
this
she
guy.
just straight up
Who
says,
is this guy?
I've never heard of that person."
I love it.
It's in the second round of the French Open.
I love it.
And nobody said, "Hey, Martina,
how about a little homework there?
maybe we do a little bit of work."
How about a little homework there, Chief?
She just straight up said, "I've never heard of that person."
This player's pretty good.
It's a little bit over the top. So Connor Norby's on yesterday, and we had this great conversation, and I asked, hey, and we're doing this. I think we did the same thing with Westberg a couple of weeks ago. I asked the exact same question. Are you concerned at all? Are you thinking about at all the possibility that it goes the other way and that you're the guy that's involved in the trade for the Orioles to try to land a pitcher? Because Stephanie Epstein said yesterday she believes the Orioles. She's to understand the Orioles are intending to be buyers at the deadline. And he gave a very honest answer about that question and a very reflective answer about that question when he said, look, you want to get to the bigs, and I want it to be in Baltimore, but sometimes I think about wanting to be in a trade like that so I can be somewhere where I know I have a path, where I know I will be able to make that jump to the major leagues. And I appreciated the answer. I thought it was a really good answer, but as is the case oftentimes, people lose their minds about it. Was Connor Norby one out? Is he on that? Jesus Christ.
Right.
Like, chill out. Jesus.
Well, here's the thing, too,
But-
right? And I know you've talked to him, and I talked to Gavin Sheets a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a very similar situation in that if you do really good or really well, you're upgrading your stock.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Now you're desirable to somebody else.
If you don't
right?
do well,
Yep.
you're hurting your stock with your own team.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's kind of in this kid might
damned
be
if you do, damned if you don't sort
Right,
of situation.
sure.
I understand that entirely. But he brought up that apparently this week there have been some conversations going around in Norfolk, who's in first place significantly, about if they were to play a 7-game series against the Oakland A's, who would win more games.
Oh, that's kind of a joke.
I don't know, man.
Nah, that's a joke.
I don't know, dude. You're telling me, look at that roster and tell me how many of those guys are legitimately Major League Baseball players.
Well, I don't know, but the AAA team's not beating them.
You say that.
3 out of 5, maybe.
Yeah.
But not every night.
Right, not every night. They're not going to sweep them, I understand.
Poor A's. A's have 12 wins
Yes.
and
12
44 losses.
46, I think.
Well,
I mean, they definitely might not win 50 games,
no,
right?
It's very realistic that they could not win 50 games. Extraordinarily realistic. Today,
I mean,
plus,
they might as well just go for it.
plus
and
if
win
anyone
25.
gets hot, if anybody starts to perform for a little while, Rooker's the only guy that's been even decent.
they're gonna-
right?
Ruiz has been because Ruiz is going to steal 60 bases.
Okay, so
Easy.
those guys,
So he's exciting.
anybody who's even decent is going to be dealt.
Yeah, they're gone.
Well, Ruiz, this is his rookie year. I mean,
Yeah, maybe. So
I don't know.
but I just don't know that they care.
Yeah.
We don't know where they're playing next. We don't know if they're going to tell them to go play in the minor league stadium in Las Vegas.
Ruiz would look good as
Or-
like the Braves' fourth outfielder. You're right.
I also don't know what they're doing about. They just built this beautiful minor league stadium in Las Vegas. Like, there's no way they're going to keep having that team there. So what do they do with that exactly? I don't know that anybody cares, but it's just a thought that crossed my mind. Anyway, today's show brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Here's the deal. If you've not watched the finale of Ted Lasso yet,
You won't believe how he dies.
thank you. Come back and join us
It's an unbelievable death.
at the 1 hour mark of the show. Pause, come back and join us either if it's live, come back and join us at 11 a.m.
Right.
If you're
I got to go
listening,
give food out.
if you're listening or watching later, get to the 1 hour mark, rejoin us there. Because when we come back in, we're
He's
gonna
still going to be dead, by the way, when you come back at 11.
Thank you.
You just won't know how he died.
because that's what we're gonna talk about when we come back in. I gotta be honest with you, I didn't see it coming that they introduced Zinedine Zidane to come back and murder him. I thought that was way over the top. But
Right, with Pep standing there
Yeah,
going,
right.
kill him. Kill this
way-
guy Lasso.
Way over the top. All right, we'll come back in. We'll talk about Ted Lasso next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
What air conditioning company can save 50% of your energy cost and qualify you for up to $7,500 in rebates? A.J. Michaels. We do more, we do it better for less. In Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the pipeline of talent still to come for the Orioles, diving in on last year's #1 pick Jackson Holiday and other top prospects like Colton Cowser, Heston Kjerstad, Kobe Mayo, and more. Also inside, Todd Karpovich profiles Orioles pitcher Kyle Gibson, and Bo Smolka breaks down what progress would mean for the team's 2022 draft picks in their second pro season. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The All-America Senior Game powered by New Balance will be back at Johns Hopkins Homewood Field on July 29th. The most decorated girls and boys lacrosse players in the country have been invited to play in what is the premier lacrosse event of the year. Every college coach wants their players in this game, and if you dream of being in this game, you start by trying out for one of your regional underclass teams this summer. The best against the best. Get your tickets now at allamericalacrosse.com.
Costas Inn has been serving up delicious steamed crabs for over 50 years. Lately, the crabs you want to eat when the weather warms up have gotten harder and harder to get. So get your crab eating game plan in place. Make sure to stick this number on your fridge, 410-477-1975. Call ahead and reserve the size crabs you want. You may be able to walk in, but you may also be disappointed at the size or maybe even get shut out altogether. So call ahead, have a plan, and then arrive on your crab eating vacation. Costas also has delicious crab soup and crab cakes. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard. For more than 50 years, they've been satisfying crab lovers in and around Baltimore.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Check out PressBoxOnline.com every day to find daily winners and betting advice from Jeremy Kahn. And if you want some advice about life decisions that you probably shouldn't make, here's Glenn Clark.
Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers right now and get $150 in bonus bets from DraftKings after placing your first $5 bet. See this and other great sportsbook offers at PressBoxOnline.com/offers. Drew Forrester is here, drewsmorningdish.com. Fairways and Greens, Sunday morning. You want to plug anything?
We have some.
Yeah, we're doing.
I don't
it,
even.
Yeah.
Okay, this Sunday, gotta come up with something.
Yeah, right.
What are playing this week? Oh, Memorial. That's a big one.
Okay.
I'll get
So
something.
that's what you got.
I'll
Yeah,
get
there you go. Tune in, 12 o'clock on Sunday.
I'll get something.
The
charm of
Memorial,
the show-
that's a big one.
The charm of the show is not only do you not know what I'm going to talk about,
Right, that you don't know either.
neither do I.
Right.
But I
Exactly
always
right.
make it happen.
That's what we used to say about the old show that we did. You just only have to do it for an hour now, and like 4
Right.
every morning.
I'm like a maniac. 4
Right.
hours of that
Nuts.
garbage.
Who would listen to that?
I don't know, but we have people listen every second.
It's unbelievable. All right. Again, as I warned, if you didn't watch Ted Lasso, this is your last warning. Do not be mad at me. We're telling you. We're talking about it. We're openly discussing what happened. So if you want to say there's spoilers, say there's spoilers. I don't care. Just come back and join us in the second hour of the program because we're going to talk about it. Here's my – I was surprised that they never really did an actual redemption story for Nate, right? Like, I'm a little bit surprised. Not that ultimately –
They did, though, with the belief thing.
That
was their
right.
way of
But
forgiving
he's-
him.
This is one of the issues that I had with this season.
Okay.
I remember I talked to you about it was too far beyond belief for them to suggest that Ted didn't know who Zava was. Like, this thing where they're still trying to make 3 years in that he doesn't know anything about soccer.
Until
is,
he called the offside last night.
Exactly right. That was his moment where
Right.
suddenly he understood soccer.
Right.
That was too far. It was too far to keep trying to press that button. And I would go the same way with how they've handled Nate post getting sacked or quitting at West Ham. Like, the idea that he's going to be the assistant kit man for a football club after he was making an extraordinary amount of money being the manager at West Ham United is too far. It's too far.
Here's what I would say. I mean, character-wise, to me, he was sort of the most puzzling of them. How he got that girl, I have no idea.
She's very, very lovely. There's no
but
doubt.
here's
I don't know if you heard it. He was the manager of West Ham.
I know. Here's what happened. I would say also, just as a personal thing, I thought he was the least talented of them all from an acting standpoint, personally.
Okay.
I don't know that played into what they were trying to do with him. I did not find him very compelling as an actor. Certainly nothing like Brett Goldstein, who to me was the star of the show.
I think he was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought they did. I don't think they did a very good job, and I get it. Each show's 80 minutes. I don't think they did a very good job of explaining why he left. We know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
He went into he got invited to a post-match thing with the owner. The owner was clearly I guess he was married to that girl Bex, right, at that time?
Yes.
So he was cheating on this girl. He invited Nathan to do that with him.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan had fallen in love with this girl from the Indian restaurant, and Nathan said no. And because of that,
He decided to quit.
He decided to quit, or did he get fired? And he said he quit.
Right.
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 It was so the
reports were that he got fired.
Right. But
He
so
said
here's the juxtaposition.
Right.
He had no moral compass when he was with AFC Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
He sabotaged.
He was
them.
correct. He was willing to try to get power.
And all of a sudden now he has a moral compass. Like, I don't think they did a very good job of just putting that whole episode. I would have thought, personally, it would have been much better just contextually to have been fired. For Rupert to call him in on Monday and say, you have a lot of nerve.
Mm-hmm.
Not, I own the team. You do what I say. That's why you make 700,000 pounds or whatever, right? You're out. I thought that would have been a far more believable thing than for the kid to quit. I found that odd,
Right.
personally.
But I get
because he had no moral compass before, and all of a sudden now you've developed one. And if it was because of that girl, if that was the case, then what would have been even more believable would have been for the next day for him to see Rupert or Rupert approach him and for Nate to blow his heart out and say, hey, I've never had a girlfriend in my life.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first relationship I've ever had. I love this girl, and I'm not jeopardizing it for you or anyone. That would have – I just thought they left that thing untied in a way that was confusing, that particular scene.
I understand that.
I did not think it was very well done.
I just thought from there I was
there were a lot of things about this year that were I want to say odd. I want to make sure I say it's the right way. The implementation of the gay angle kind of out of nowhere, right? But what it does is it also shows that these circumstances are present in every locker room, right?
Mm-hmm.
NBA, NHL, and they're present everywhere, right? And, you know, I thought last night at the end, obviously, when the guy came out on the field and they kissed, like, the whole notion that this was about soccer, the show was never really about soccer. It was about flawed characters.
Sure, correct.
That sort of found, you know, in some way, shape, or form,
this is a bit
found
of an
their
island
way.
of misfit toys, right?
Right.
Correct.
But there were a lot of odd. I thought the Keeley business owner relationship was also very odd. I thought the second-year relationship between Rebecca and the Nigerian player was odd. I felt like there were things that were going on that probably don't happen in real life in 2023. Now, the two male, Trent Grimm saying I'm,
right,
confessing to the kid he's gay, and
right.
that I get that, but I thought the Keeley other thing, I thought, given her hypersexuality with Jamie and Roy, I thought that was an oddly placed scene too.
It's interesting. I guess if I said it was unnecessary, I could I don't know what it really did.
I
for
understand
the show.
what they were trying to do in general.
Right.
They were trying to promote that these are all things that happen in the real world.
And to some extent, I also think they were attempting to get Keeley away from Roy and Jamie. And
you saw it last night when they said pick one of us, and she
right.
said,
right.
I'm not picking either one of you. Get
correct.
out.
Correct. It's I think that's interesting. I would say that I am more offended.
Let's just get to how Ted dies.
Hang on a second. I'm more offended.
Plane crash.
Right,
Unbelievable.
it's ridiculous. I'm more offended by the idea of you're just not doing the work. Like, at some point with Nate, there needed to be something. There needed to be, you can't just have him go from being the manager of the team that's in first place in the league to just being content to be a uniform washer. You got to do something.
So you might be missing this. Here's the reality. He always was a kit guy.
I understand
He
that.
never should have been the coach.
But they were in first place. They were atop the table.
Maybe despite him.
Maybe, but they never suggested that. All of the suggestions were that they were in first place because of him. The idea...
The wonder kid.
Yes, that they would go from that to...
But maybe the theme was he is a kit man. That this is what he is. That he just swallowed the lucky pill.
Yeah.
That
required more work. That required way more work than they did.
Maybe.
They did not do nearly enough work for that to be the story.
And it was just that Rupert wanted to spite Rebecca so much that he would take, or maybe he thought that Nate was going to flip, maybe reveal secrets or something about Richmond. And
they were in first place.
Yeah, I know.
They were winning the league. It's absurd to suggest that the guy that had the team in first place
Rupert bought all those
suddenly
players. He bought all the good players.
I understand that, but suddenly was unemployable to anyone else. Or at the least, they could have at the end Ted left, they could have said, we're elevating you back to being an assistant coach. I always thought that he was going to end up being the next manager of Richmond.
That was a neat twist last night.
And that was a bit of I'm good with it, right? Like, I'm good with the idea of the story they actually told warranted Roy becoming manager, which is weird, right? Like,
I would love to know as they went along. I would love to know if there was a change of heart there because of the potential for a spinoff. I'm wondering if at some point, if it wasn't going to be Nate, and all of a sudden they said, "Hey, you know what?
We talked about this yesterday. I'm way more
Brett
interested
Brett
in
Goldstein could be a star in this."
I'm way more interested in a Roy. Now, I'm actually more interested in an origin story with Roy than I am in like where this goes next with Roy. Like, I'm way more interested in more of Roy's past and, you know, the absolute gruff, you know, like I'm interested in that. Like the softened Roy, I'm not sure how much that's a focal part of a spin-off show for me. But I am convinced they are going to do it. There's going to be an AFC Richmond show.
I think so too. There's too much money to be made, too many people to watch to not do it. I thought there were several things about last night, not season 3, but last night in particular, that were really interesting. Everybody in the end last night got what they wanted, or what they desired, other than Rupert. He was the only one who didn't get what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca met the Dutch guy she met on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Keely, her PR thing was flourishing.
Right.
Rebecca got 49%, made a bunch of money. You know, met the Dutch guy.
The fans all get to now feel like they own the team.
Right. Ted went home. Here's the one thing I would say that I was really disappointed in. I thought, in the end, Ted and Michelle were going to get back together, and I was really disappointed
that they didn't. I thought they were alluding to it with how she was reacting to the doctor, and when he was watching the soccer match. I thought they were trying to tell you.
I did too, and I thought that would have tied a nice bow up had she come out of the door with somehow. I'll say wedding ring, and people's response might be, well, maybe she married the dentist, or doctor. It would have been a neat thing for her to say, we're both glad you're home. You're back home. You know, I felt like they really missed the chance there to seal the whole thing up, like with those two getting back together. And I would have bet they were going to be back together, so I would have lost.
I probably would have agreed.
But everybody got what they wanted.
I do kind of appreciate the story really was only about his son. Like, he left not because of her.
Right.
He left specifically to be a dad.
Right.
That's what he cared about. And I kind of appreciated that in a way. Like, this isn't about my heartbreak. It's just about I want to be a father. And in a way, I appreciate them prioritizing that over that relationship, right? Like, I enjoyed that. There's two things that jumped out to me. One, did we ever find out what the gift was that Keely gave them?
No, they did not show that.
That's a little bit weird, right?
Yeah, he opened it.
Did he?
He opened it and then they cut away.
Yeah.
Something else. Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I guess because was there something like in the final when he's home that they?
I just don't remember seeing it, and I remember thinking about that afterwards. Like, that was they kept suggesting that as a plot line.
It's for season 4.
I understand that's totally plausible. And then the other part that kind of jumped out to me
wait a
was
minute. I thought, wait a minute. He opened it up. He opened up the.
And then they cut to something else. I already forget what they cut to.
Okay.
But it was during that ending montage.
I thought if we're doing this like best characters, worst characters, to me I thought the Beard character was the worst character in the show.
Worse than Nate?
Really?
Yes, I did.
I disagree with that.
I did not think he added much.
I think he was there for one reason. He was there to be
prop up Ted.
Yes, correct. And I had no problem with that. Like, I thought that
he was a little too weird for me. Maybe it was the
know.
G-string thing last night.
you were
I'd rather see Ted in that, but you know.
Okay, got it.
Now,
Got
so
it.
so did Ted and Rebecca?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they wanted. I think that was they laid it out there to make you think that's what happened,
Gotcha.
And then Beard
and
walks
then
in.
immediately made
Okay.
it clear that wasn't what
Okay.
happened. I think that was what that was, because I remember thinking at the first, like, and when it first started, I was like, I don't like this.
I thought at the end,
Like-
there was something that happened. I would love to know the truth about this. There was something that happened at the very end that I thought was really interesting, from an acting standpoint. Rebecca's goodbye to him, where she was crying and she hugged and said thank you. I think that was a very personal moment for her, and I think that thank you was a
it
was a shoot.
crossed
was
the
a shoot.
It crossed the fourth wall. Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
for what you did for my career.
Right. Like here I was this deep into my career, and I finally was able to have this
I
moment.
thought that was a very – because they didn't do okay, show's over, 3 minutes
right.
of we'll never be back. Thank you for everything. This was awesome. They didn't do that. They just – it was a real show, right? And the last scene was him coaching his kid.
Yep.
Be a goldfish. I thought that moment where she hugged him and she was crying looked very, very genuine to me. Did not look like acting. I think that was really cool to see that.
By the way, it was the snow globe. That's what it was.
Yes.
That was the
that's
gift.
right.
It was
Okay.
the snow globe,
Yeah.
and we did. See
And
it.
I never did know what the
the
symbolism of that was.
Yeah, there was a whole thing.
Well, Keely gave that snow globe
Right.
to her assistant.
Right.
Yeah. Who
Right.
collected snow globes, and she was like, I can't.
Yeah,
it
that
very
was a weird-
That was very weird too.
The
The fact that
Beard
they-
was worse than the assistant character? Keely's assistant?
I actually enjoyed her.
You enjoyed her?
I actually came
She was
as sort of being like the strange straight man for Keely,
Right.
like you know,
Right.
no pun intended, like as being the I'm your checks and balance. I kind of enjoyed.
I didn't need
that
her outside of
character.
the office.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
kind of loved her having like bloodthirst and saying I didn't really like soccer. I'm into rugby. It's bloodier, and then being really excited when she
saw
saw the
something
dude.
online last night.
the-
10 most disappointing things of season 3, and this guy wrote number 1. And I forget the woman's name. What was it? It was a male name that she went with.
Jack.
Jack.
Yes.
The guy's thing was we didn't get to see Jack naked.
Well,
that
Jack
was his
lovely.
number one.
Don't get me
That was
wrong.
his
She
number one
was lovely.
thing.
She was lovely. That we never really got it. Like that they went back to Zava last night, but just to
Well, I will also say that was by far the oddest,
yes.
that implementation of that character
To
was
to make it the central plot line for the
two-
season.
well for at least
Right.
2 shows.
For
He was the
the
main.
season was built around
It
Zava
was
for there to be no payoff at all.
It was terrible.
For that, like it felt like they
He
didn't.
doesn't show up the night of the championship game in
Correct.
the locker room.
It felt like they got to the finale and they're like, oh crap, we forgot about Zava.
Yeah, that was
and they had to
terrible.
force it back in somehow.
Right.
And they're like, here's an avocado.
I kind of like the big avocado.
I don't get it.
Okay, Chief.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Like, it definitely felt like they forgot to do the homework. They were like, oh crap, we were supposed to come back and do
Right.
something with Zava, and we forgot to, so they had to force it back in somehow. It was absurd that there was no going back to the Zava storyline, which was the singular storyline to start the season. A couple people that brought up to me the idea that they should the Super League episode was good enough that it probably should have been more of the central plot for the season. To me, is fascinating. I remember when that Super League drama was unfolding, there was a tweet that was going around that was really popular. Like, I can't wait for Ted Lasso to address this and for Ted to to look around and say, the real Super League is in our hearts, or something like that, right? That episode was wonderful, and part of it is, Sam Richardson is great, and his character as part of the show has been great. But I did feel that a little bit, where that should have been more of a plot line that dragged out for the course of the season. Like,
I
that
would
should
agree
have
with
been
that.
more. Ask him to call back in 5 minutes, please.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I
Like-
felt, that the whole. I mean, you could have done a lot with that, right? The whole males own soccer team type things, and we got a woman in here. What does she know? Like,
Right.
they could have really.
And to keep and make it so that she was struggling with it. Like, there
Right.
is a lot of money at stake, and
Right.
you saw her deal with that last night when she was told, well, the club might be worth $2 billion at this point. Like, what, really? Like, to make it seem like it was an issue for her as the season went on. I'm not sure what we should do here. I'm not certain of what the answer is. I think that there would have been a lot more meat on that bone that they could have continued to go with this season, and could have been a great drama. And the concept of the Super League, and Ted being the conscience of the soccer fan and saying, this doesn't make any sense. I think that could
She
have
was
been
the second most to me. She was the second most compelling character of the compelling character of the series. I thought Roy Kent was.
Yeah.
I thought Roy Kent was the most, other than Ted. Roy Kent was the one that made the show sort of go. But she was a very, very compelling character, and who started out in the show trying to sabotage the club, trying to make a joke out of the club, then quickly discovered Ted was a likable guy.
Yep.
Realized I'm in trouble, tried to sabotage him, told him that she tried to sabotage him, and Ted's response was,
Right.
people
Right.
make mistakes.
Correct.
Like, I thought she was a real, and then, she's going through, and I can't identify with this, and neither can you, but women can. She was going through an incredible life crisis, not only age-wise, but relationship-wise.
Mm-hmm.
She, and the way she navigated through that, the way she was a little bit of a motherly figure to Keely, and just the fact that she's a woman in a men's world, in that industry, right? She was a very, very compelling character. I don't know who else you would have plugged in there, but they would be really hard pressed to find someone who would have done it as well as she did it. Part of that is because of her size and her look, right? She's very overpowering, very dominating looking.
She
right?
is. She was
a
commanding is the word that I would come up
but,
with.
But so the juxtaposition there is she is all of that, and yet the show routinely exposes her as weak or troubled
or self-doubt
or
all very human.
I shouldn't say weak, but yes, but I thought her character was very, very compelling.
So here, I'll wrap with this. If they do the spinoff that we assume that they're going to do.
Well, Ted's not in it because he gets killed.
Exactly right. He dies in the plane crash.
Right.
If they do it, is it just the exact same show without Ted, or does it need to be a different concept with same characters?
Interesting you would say that, because I think at the end, when he gives Trent the book, he says, only one suggestion, you should change the title.
Right.
It won't.
The show will never be Ted Lasso.
But it was never about me.
Right. No, the show will be AFC Richmond if there's a spinoff.
Right.
That will be.
But I'm saying they've done that now.
Right.
That would be the theme. It never really was about
But
Ted,
is
even
the
though it was.
look all of the same? Is the locker room is it the exact same show just with a different name and no Ted? Or do they?
I guess I would say this too. Why wouldn't you do it again? Like, and I'm even saying, like, if they do AFC Richmond and Roy's the coach and they lose 7 in a row, why wouldn't Jason Sudeikis come back for 2 episodes? Like, what is it? Why wouldn't you come back and be part of it? I don't get it.
I think
I don't understand
the underlying
this.
element of this is that what we saw on the screen was very much Jason Sudeikis' own troubles sort of being projected into Ted's character and learning more about, like him being so heartbroken by, Olivia Wilde dating Harry Styles that he was literally throwing himself in front of the car to try to prevent her from leaving the family. Like, I think we saw a lot of that projected, and I get the sense that he's just done. Like, he's just not.
Why? You don't like money?
I think it goes a step beyond that. I think that sometimes for artists, it's very difficult. Like, I can't put myself through this anymore.
Okay.
And I can
Counting
have.
Crows should have done after hard candy.
They're playing at the beach the week that I'm down there, and I'm like, am I really going to do this to myself? Am I really going to
go watch Adam Duritz go through the motions for an hour and a half?
Miserable playing his songs that everybody loves. Just
Right.
hate the fact that he's famous and that he's got to. I get that sense. Now to the point, like, do you feel differently if you're just asked, hey, come on, do a cameo, all you're doing is a FaceTime call to Roy? I could see where, like, a Ted cameo might pop up in the future, but I don't think he'll be a part of it in any significant way moving forward. And I think that I'm on board. Like, I know I'll watch. I think you can make it work, and I do think that Roy's compelling.
They're not even saying there's going to be a spin-off.
No, they're not saying it. But they hinted around enough, like, we'd be interested in that
right.
I buy into it as a possibility.
It's the best. It's the best, and I have not watched a lot of TV in a long time. We've got growing kids, and the other thing I watch is Handy Manny. Not anymore.
Yeah,
Ethan doesn't like it anymore.
He just, like last year, he finally grew out
I
of
liked it, Ethan.
Yeah,
I'm like, Ethan, are we watching Handy Manny or
by
not?
the way, my wife is doing that with my kids, where she just thinks they're perpetually going to be 3. She's like, you guys want to watch Paw Patrol? And they're like, no. We want to watch superheroes. We want to watch...
I don't know. I feel like this is the best show I've seen in a long time.
It's incredible. There's no question about that.
Yeah, it was so well done. So well done.
Every show is a little bit different. Like, I think that Succession has been the best show on television.
I haven't
for
seen
some,
any of that.
So unbelievably it's just in.
I got hooked on that Blackbird for 6 weeks.
Oh
Watched that
yeah, you were
thing.
talking about that.
Oh my
I haven't
gosh.
watched that.
That
I
was
haven't
so
watched
good.
that. All right, I'll take a look at it.
All right.
R.I.P.
to Ted.
Sunday at noon.
Yes.
105.7 The Fan, Fairways and Greens.
Yes.
And what are you doing at Drew'sMorningDish.com?
I wrote today about the Oriole game experience. A lot of people disappointed this year. On-field product, great. Game experience, not so great. So
they got to get that sound system fixed.
Wrote
for
about. There's a lot of things regarding the sound of the game they should fix, but that's a story for another day. So anyway, wrote about that, and I did write a little bit about Ted today. So
Very good.
Yeah.
At It's a Hooded 4-Iron on Twitter is how you follow him. Appreciate you.
All right,
Good
girls.
to see you.
We'll see you soon.
Drew Forrester, Drew'sMorningDish.com, checking in with us here on GCR. Hey, expert and award-winning AJ Michaels Heating, AC, Plumbing, and Home Performance will improve your home's energy efficiency and comfort levels. AC season is coming up fast. Actually, I'd say it's here. New rebates and discounts are available. More at ajmichaels.com. It is time for us to make our weekly trip to Bowie to chat with a member of the Baysox. Our next guest has been hot of late. 3 of his last 4 starts have all been 5-inning shutout efforts in which, he's allowed, last time out, 1 hit, no walks. Pretty good. He's Garrett Stallings, and he's with us now here on GCR. Garrett, it's Glenn. It's great to catch up, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Yeah, no problem, Glenn. Thanks for having me.
What have you been – all right, so baseball players are all superstitious. Like, you guys, you're the most superstitious people I know. What is it that you've been doing the last, couple of times out? Did you, wear the same pair of underwear? Did you, eat dinner for breakfast? Like, what's been the trick, and what do you keep doing the next time out to make sure it continues?
Yeah. We like to do things that end up working well for us, and I'll give you something funny, actually. So I guess last week I pitched on the road, and I had worn these high-top gray cleats, right?
Okay.
Typical. You wear gray pants on the road, you wear gray cleats on the road. Well, this time I was like, you know what? I pitched super well in those cleats. I'm going to wear them again here at home, even though we were wearing white pants. And my roommate and a few of the guys in the bullpen, they were giving me a bunch of flack for it. But I went out there and threw 5 shutout again, so it looks like I'll be wearing those again on Sunday.
That's damn right you will be. Yeah. And maybe for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly. So, they didn't say anything to me, obviously, the day I was pitching, but after they were giving a good laugh at me.
That's dude. You know what, man? I get it. I completely understand. If I was no pun intended, if I were in your shoes, I'd be doing the exact same thing. There's no doubt about it. What has felt good recently, Garrett? Like, what is it that you feel like has been working for you that you have put together this really strong stretch these last couple of weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think really I've just been sticking to my process. A lot of times it's really just simplifying it. A lot of the times, we got a lot of things on our mind, a lot of scouting reports, a lot of different moving parts, and I think sometimes we can overcomplicate it. And I feel like I've really kind of handled the things that I need to do, and I really have just gone out there and attacked guys and really just trusted myself. It's baseball's such a present moment. You have a good one, it feels like you're on the top of the world. You have a bad one, you feel like you're in the bottom of the pit. And, I think you just got to take care of each day. And I think ultimately a lot of things take care of themselves.
I don't want to try to make it seem like you're old by any stretch of the imagination, because it's not the case. I would kill to be 25 again at this point. But that being said, at 25 and at the AA level, does it start to feel a little bit like, hey, man, this has got to get moving like now? Does it start to feel a little bit of that, and is any of that coming out in what we've seen in your performances lately?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we always know that there's some pressure on us to perform at a high level. I mean, ultimately, all of my teammates' dream is to make it to the major leagues, and in order for that to happen, I think the easiest way is to perform at a high level and to be extremely consistent. So I'd be lying if it wasn't on your mind to go out there and perform at the best, but again, you focus too hard and you press it a little bit too hard, it can end up biting you in the rear end too. So it's kind of a mix in between. Obviously as competitors and as athletes, you want to do the best you can every time. But there is a fine line of, trusting what you can do and doing what you do well rather than going out and, trying way too hard. And I think like you said, being being an older guy in this clubhouse, I think I've learned a lot over the years and, have found out what's worked for me, and I think it's finally just clicking.
He is Garrett Stallings of the Bowie Baysox. He's with us here on GCR. Garrett, what is right now to you the biggest difference in the success that you found and getting to that next step, like getting to the point where you feel like you're ready to face major league level competition? What do you feel like the most significant difference is right between those two things right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think every time you go out in a Double-A game, you're going to see talent that will probably surprise the average baseball fan. There's so many major league type players that are doing something the guys on TV are doing every night, hitting a ball 110 miles an hour, throwing a pitch 96, throwing a nasty slider by someone. Things are happening every single game. I think the major difference is really just probably between the years. I think everyone on our team is super talented. You don't make it to Double-A by accident, and I think probably the mental game and kind of trusting yourself and going about your business is probably the biggest separator.
Is it difficult to not, when we talk about, you can't go out there and is it difficult to not press? Is it difficult to not try to force that issue?
Absolutely. I think you can talk to any hitter after a game if they go 0 for 5 and, you might see them the next day taking a few extra swings in the cage or taking an extra glance at the scouting report. And, I think you got to go back. It's probably the most humbling game out there. You go out there and you could hit the ball exactly how you wanted to, and it goes straight to someone and you catch it. Or you could have an unlucky day and, hit the ball 55 miles an hour off the bat and get three hits. It's an interesting game. So like you said, I think you just got to look at it when we play 140 games and, you got to go week by week and, just scale it down a little bit.
I understand that. By the way, it sounds easy, right? But like as you pointed out, I know what it is that you're up against each time out. Garrett, what you've seen in this organization, and it's interesting because I think there's this perception from the outside that the organization is loaded with position prospects and not necessarily as much with pitching prospects. And I wonder, like, what you would say, like, as you look around and the guys that you've been around, like, when you hear that, or when there's a suggestion that the pitching prospects aren't there in this organization, what does that make you feel?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's incredible being a part of the number one farm system right now. I think you look top to bottom from, our Florida league all the way up to AAA, who's arguably probably one of the best minor league teams offensively and just overall to, maybe even play in the minors. It's, we're just stacked with talent. I think the pitchers probably do get overshadowed a little bit with the incredible talent between some of the position players, but there's no bad blood there at all. I think it brings more attention to the organization. I think it makes the hitters want to be better. I think it makes the pitchers want to be better, but there's definitely some unbelievable arms in the system for sure.
All right, let's get to some of the important stuff, right? What are you? We have been talking so much this week. It's been like a big week for people to be talking about TV. We've been talking about Ted Lasso. Okay. We've been talking about Succession. Have you been watching anything recently? Have you, like a movie, show, anything that you said, dude, I'm looking for more people to talk to about this because it's something that I saw recently and I want to talk about it?
Honestly, you're probably just going to, I'm the boring guy that sticks to the plan and all this stuff. I really haven't been watching a lot of TV.
Man, that's disappointing.
You did mention Ted Lasso. I did watch the first 2 seasons. I definitely need to kick back on the third.
What are you doing, Garrett?
I don't even know. Have all the episodes come out?
The finale was yesterday. Yeah, the finale was yesterday.
Oh well, then this is when I pick it up, so I can watch it.
You can go straight through. Okay, now that I understand. Yeah. Actually, you know what's really funny about that? I have a level of appreciation for it because when I do get into a show that's still airing, I actually start to get frustrated about the fact that I have to wait another week. Like I actually get to, and it happened with me with Succession where I got caught up before this season, then I got very frustrated about the fact that I had to wait till another Sunday night in order to watch another episode. I get that. So what are you doing on Mondays then? Like, what does your life look like on an off day?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I think we got back at about 5 a.m. last off day, so we crawled back in bed when we got back in. But I may play some golf. I haven't played in a few weeks now, just with the way the schedule lines up. But my roommate's got me playing MLB The Show a little bit more with him.
Okay.
It's been kind of fun.
Okay.
Just playing some co-op with him, which has been fun. And it's so funny. I think the other day we played with Jensen and Chase McDermott. We're just on there, and it's like, you think we can't get enough baseball, but then we get on and we know every player by name, and all the things.
Who do you play as when you play the show?
Well, I think every game you play in a ranked game, it seems like you have to face Bob Gibson because he throws 104 and has 5 pitches, and but. No, my roommate has a much more talented lineup, but I like playing that battle royale where you go in and just draft random players.
Okay,
and play like a quick.
I dig that. I actually dig that. That's very cool. Who's your roommate, by the way?
Jensen Elliott. Actually,
okay,
and he's off to a really hot start, and he's gonna, I think, make some noise later this season as well.
Very cool. Very cool. The Baysox have a lot going on this weekend, by the way. It is a massive week for you to get to Prince George's County Stadium. They're home tonight, and tonight they are celebrating as the Cangrejos Fantasmas de Chesapeake, which is just perfect. I am so excited about that as they'll be rocking those uniforms. Then this weekend, 90s night, with a fanny pack giveaway on Friday, which is perfect. Also, kids run the bases, fireworks. It's Star Wars night on Saturday. You guys aren't doing a jersey for that, right? Like, that's not a – I'm pretty sure that's just like
I believe we are wearing a jersey.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to spoil anything, but it looks pretty cool this year.
Man, that is awesome. Okay, how many of these like one-off jerseys have you actually liked so much that you've kept over the years?
Yeah, they give us an option to purchase any of the jerseys we want with make really good gifts to give to people, but some of them are so cool you might want to just keep them yourself. So I've seen all the Star Wars movies. I wouldn't say I'm a diehard Star Wars movie, but I did buy the Star Wars jersey last year.
That's cool.
Had, Darth Vader on it with like a big red lightsaber. It was super cool.
That's dope. That's dope.
It's cool to collect some of these jerseys over the years.
Also on Sunday, a Gunnar Henderson bobblehead giveaway. So a lot going on with the Baysox this weekend. Baysox.com in order to get your tickets. Garrett, I know you're on Twitter at @GStalls with a Z. Are you on Instagram that Orioles fans can be giving you a follow?
I am.
I was trying to figure out what it was, and I couldn't find it off the top of my head because I think Instagram was down. That's what the issue was.
Garrett H. Stallings.
Garrett H. Stallings. All right, give him a follow right there. Dude, may this, keep rocking those shoes, first of all, because, like, it's working at the moment. May that continue. I look forward to seeing what happens the rest of the season. Best of luck, man. Thank you so much for hopping on and spending some time with us this morning.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, dude. Garrett Stallings, the Bowie Baysox, with us here on GCR. Again, who has had a really nice stretch of late, trying to really get things into hyperdrive and move towards the major league level. All right. Speaking of the Baysox, if you want to go see them and all of the area's minor league teams, what you need to do is get right now to PressBoxOnline.com/contests, because we are giving you the chance to win 4 tickets to all of the area minor league baseball teams, plus an Easy Pass Maryland on-the-go transponder preloaded with $25 and a $50 gas card from Royal Farms in order to help you get around. You must be 18 or older in order to enter. The sweepstakes ends June 14th, so we are in the final 2 weeks of this because it was tied to this print issue of PressBox, which is available for free at your neighborhood Royal. What did I just say? At your neighborhood Royal Farms. Royal Harms? That sounds terrible. I don't know what a Royal Harm. Well, actually,
Royal.
It's what they were apparently trying to do to Megan and Harry a couple weeks ago, and they were chasing them around New York.
Royal Harm.
Yeah, right. Your neighborhood Royal Farms, go get it. That's Jackson Holiday, an illustration of him on the cover as we dive into the pipeline of talent that still exists, despite the fact that Gunnar and Grayson and Adley all got to the major league level. And again, we're giving you the chance to go see them all. PressBoxOnline.com/contests is how you get signed up. When we come back in, Reid Wiseman, a legitimate badass, Someone who's actually accomplished and is really cool. He's going to the moon. Something nobody's done in over 50 years, which is crazy to me. We will chat with a Baltimore native when we come back in. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Are you a diehard O's fan looking for the perfect way to show your team spirit? Look no further than Birdland Sports. Birdland Sports is a small business run by fans for fans. They offer a wide variety of unofficial O's merchandise, from the Birds Are Coming tees to player cartoon shirts and more. And the best part? Their prices are more affordable than the big guys. So head to birdlandsports.com and grab your gear today. Show your support for the Birds with Birdland Sports.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the pipeline of talent still to come for the Orioles, diving in on last year's #1 pick Jackson Holliday and other top prospects like Colton Cowser, Heston Kjerstad, Kobe Mayo, and more. Also inside, Todd Karpovich profiles Orioles pitcher Kyle Gibson, and Bo Smolka breaks down what progress would mean for the team's 2022 draft picks in their second pro season. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
That first sip, that first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
What air conditioning company can save 50% of your energy cost and qualify you for up to $7,500 in rebates? A.J. Michaels. We do more, we do it better for less. In Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
If you miss anything on the show, don't forget that you can watch full episodes at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline, and you can download podcasts on Apple, iTunes, Amazon, and Grindr. Wait, did I say Grindr? I don't think that you would find it on Grindr. Not that I know it's on Grindr or anything, I swear. On second thought, you know what? I don't care what you think. Here's Glenn.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. Stan the Fan Charles back in action tonight. He and Gary Stein are going to catch up with Terry Hasseltine, the executive director of Maryland Sports, talk about everything that's going on this summer. You'll be able to watch it live, facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you miss it live, you can see it tomorrow, youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. So John Harbaugh did Adam Jones' podcast, apparently. And among the things that he said was that the Ravens are planning on going to London earlier this time around than they did the last time. And it's funny because when we had Marty Morningweg on, he kind of brought that up as being something that he would suggest. It's weird to me, like, I understand that the concept that was presented was don't try to adjust to London time. Like, don't just
like,
go.
Go on, like, get there on Friday, right? Is that what?
And that was what teams were essentially asking players to sleep on the plane on Thursday night and just get to it on Friday. And I don't think there's a correct answer. I really don't know, like, what the appropriate way is to handle this. Because I think if we knew that, then it would be science at this point. I think everybody's got opinions about how best to handle it. But I can tell you in speaking to players that I have talked to about the experience, the part where you're expected to use the flight as, like, your downtime is not, like, they have said that's one of the great mistakes that teams have made. And I get where they're coming from. Like, you need actual downtime on your own, you know, in your own room, away from work. You need to be able to decompress. And the flight, that's part of work. Like, that's part of, to think that that's going to be your downtime, your decompression time, doesn't work. And that you're catching up the entire time. It's interesting to me. I wonder if teams are starting to come around on the things that these players have told me about these trips to London. I've had multiple players talk about this, like this expectation that you sleep on the flight and that like you wake up and you're just ready to go to
You're
work.
rejuvenated. Yeah, like that's
Nonsense. And essentially, I think teams are going to have to start doing like a Monday, Tuesday work week, fly on Wednesday, maybe use Thursday to recover, and then another practice on Friday, something like that. I don't. Again, I'm not suggesting that I have the perfect plan, but John Harbaugh told Adam Jones that the plan is that they are going to go out to London earlier this time around.
maybe they should just do the thing that they were going to do the first time and just take the cruise ship out.
Yeah, I
all
don't
week.
think they're going to do that, buddy.
Well, then
I don't
making
think that's going to happen.
A football field on the cruise ship.
That's
That
not.
would
You know,
be-
you understand that's not real, right? Like not just that it was an April Fool's joke, but like the concept is not real.
They could make it real though.
How?
Put a football field on a cruise ship.
Sure.
Yeah.
They're just going
Or
to gut.
half a football field.
They're
I
going to
don't
gut
know.
a. Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
Limit yourself with 80 players to a half a field with which to practice for the week. That's fascinating.
You watch the first team that does it and they win by 50. And then,
That's
are we
not-
sure that's not what the Jags
That's
did?
not going to happen.
That's
Also, Tom Brady says, "Don't stop it, stop it." He says he's not going to play for the Raiders. Of course, the story is that it was discovered that Jimmy Garoppolo had failed a physical and had this clause sort of like written into his contract related to failing a physical. And then the Raiders still were believed, like the thought was they were going to get one of the top quarterbacks, and they did draft a quarterback, but it was one of the Big Ten quarterbacks, wasn't it? It was
was it Aiden O'Connell?
it
was
was
that
either
Aiden
O'Connell or Mertz or one of those guys was drafted by the Raiders. I just don't remember which one it was. It could have been O'Connell. But what?
I'm trying to find it. Sorry.
All right, thank you
Yeah,
very
it
much.
is O'Connell.
Yeah,
Aiden
Aiden
O'Connell.
O'Connell was the one that was drafted by. With all those guys drafted, was Tanner Morgan was drafted? I'm trying to remember. Who cares? Who cares? I don't know why I'm spending this much time talking about it.
It's interesting.
But he's not a
He
legitimate.
went undrafted. Signed
Morgan
with the
did.
Stillers.
And then what about Mertz? Did Mertz get drafted?
have
Why
an
do I
answer.
care? Why do I care? Why is it that I'm even asking these questions? Oh, Clifford got drafted, didn't he? Sean Clifford.
Yeah, Sean Clifford did.
He's the other Big Ten quarterback that got drafted. Brian Hoyer is the only other quarterback that would be.
Graham Mertz transferred to Florida.
He's still in college.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I just learned something today.
Going to try and replace Anthony Richardson.
Apparently. But Sean Clifford definitely got drafted. That definitely happened. Moral of all of this. Why we're spending this much time.
Packers.
Thank you. They don't really have another option. Like, they don't have a legit, like, you can't even squint. Like, if they had drafted Hendon Hooker, then you could say, well, that's a viable backup plan.
Cam Newton's out there.
Thank you. Sure, and he's going to continue to be out there. If they had drafted Hooker, that's a viable backup plan. So the thought would be that Brady, who's, I guess, still is going to be a part of the ownership group somehow or something
For
like
the
that.
Raiders, is that what?
I believe
Yeah.
that's the case. Would have been the viable backup plan, right? Like, he's the guy that if Garoppolo isn't really ready to go, then they'll just call Tom Brady and say, you're going to come play for us.
You got to come down from your suite today,
Correct.
and you're going to actually throw the football.
I would think they
Okay.
would do it before the game began. I don't think they would wait until that deep in order to do it. But he says, no, I'm not playing. That's not the way that things are going to go. And I think I believe him. Like, I think so.
I would think so. I mean, they're reporting it that he said it too. So he gave them the quotes. So if he said it, as long as he, I think, owns it, I think he's happy about it.
But he, again,
This
he
not-
was,
this isn't
he announced
despite-
his retirement once before. He
didn't.
But no, he did. He announced his retirement after it had been reported that he was retiring, and then changed his mind. But there's this sort of like revisionist history that he didn't actually retire. No, he did. He announced that he was retiring.
Well, it's because Schefter ruined his ability to retire himself.
So worked up about these things.
This is a real
Gets
retirement.
So worked up about
I
these
guess.
things.
Also, it's a real quote.
He says,
that
"I'm certain I'm not playing again." But
certain. Let's see if there's any holes in there.
it's what
I'm
it is.
certain. Did he?
No, I'm certain I'm not playing again. It's pretty direct. Pretty direct.
No way around it.
But he is part of the owner. He did in some capacity join the ownership group of the Raiders. So I think that's going to be what he's going to be grilled about is, like, well, what happens if? What happens? We'll see. That's all we can say is we'll see. All right, we had to do this a little bit earlier on today because of his busy schedule, getting ready to go to the moon, but an opportunity to catch up with a Baltimore native. He is astronaut Reid Wiseman, and he joins us now here on GCR. Well, what an honor it is to be joined again here on GCR by a man who is going to the moon. It is unbelievable. He will lead Artemis 2 in 2024, first crewed travel to the moon in over 50 years, and he is a product, much like myself, of the Baltimore County Public School System. We can debate which one of us has been more successful because of it. He is the great Reid Wiseman, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Reid, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's so great to catch up with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
You bet, Glenn. With an introduction like that, I don't even want to talk. I'll just let you keep going.
Hey, congratulations is the first thing that comes to mind. I know this isn't your first time, obviously, going to space, but like those words, you're going to the moon. How does that strike you when you think about it?
I think it's still unbelievable to me, quite a bit. We have about 18 months of training ahead of us. I think as we step through that, it will become a little bit more real. I was also at the Artemis 1 launch in November, which was an uncrewed test flight of this vehicle out to the moon. And I know when that rocket left the pad at the Kennedy Space Center, and you could see the moon deep on the horizon, and the rocket started heading that way, and it was just it was a moment of, I couldn't believe this. I wasn't alive in Apollo, and it was wild to watch that rocket start trekking out towards the moon.
Can you explain for dummies like me that are like, why didn't we go to the moon, or why do we need to go to the moon? Can you dumb it down so even dopes like me that went to Perry Hall can understand it?
Perry Hall, Delaney rivalry has always been a good one. We really want to see humans on Mars. We want to be expanding civilization, expanding the human footprint. We also want to be conducting science and research across our solar system so that we can better understand who we are as people, what our planet looks like. So if you want to put humans on Mars, the moon is a great first destination. When we went in the 1960s and 70s, it was technological demonstrations, a little bit of science, actually a pretty robust science platform. And we were trying to achieve President Kennedy's goal of landing humans on the moon and returning them safely by the end of the 1960s. And we did all of that. When you look at what we're doing now, wanting to send humans to Mars, the first stepping stone is the moon, to go to learn to work off of our planet, to learn how the moon was created, what it means for us on Earth, and then on to Mars. So it really is just a stepping stone. And, I've been telling people when folks first got on a ship and sailed across the Atlantic Ocean, I think everybody thought they were crazy. And now we get on a plane and we cruise across in a few hours. And that's what I think it will be in a couple of years as we're heading on to Mars. Just jumping over to the moon will seem like nothing.
You're telling me this is real. Like we see this type of stuff in movies, obviously, Matt Damon and whatnot. But you're like telling me that it's real, that at some point you believe a human being could end up on Mars.
We have rovers and helicopters on Mars right now. So, yeah, absolutely 100%. Humans will be on Mars. We'll be throughout the solar system. It's going to take time. It takes money. It's going to take some technological revolutions, but we will be there.
Wow, that is unbelievable. Baltimore's own Reid Wiseman is with us. He will lead Artemis 2 for NASA in 2024 to the moon. Reid, I know you've talked about how the Challenger disaster sort of shaped your interest in space when you were a child. I wonder if you still deal with fears. And I bring up the context. I jumped out of a plane for the first time a couple years ago, and I hadn't dealt with anxiety or fear in a long time in my life. But I had a legitimate panic attack the night before, and all I was doing was jumping out of a plane with the Navy, or the Army, I guess it was. Do you deal with any of that, when you go to space, when you think about the moon? Or is this sort of just old hat for you, whatever, I'm going to the moon?
Glenn, I have never jumped out of an airplane, so you +1 me there. I like the way that you explained that. The night before you're scared, but then when it happens, I bet you were still scared. I don't know. I think jumping out of an airplane would be quite scary, but I think that's the right philosophy. A couple days before anything, you get a little worried. You have fear. That's normal. You don't really want to say goodbye to your kids because that hurts you a little bit. But then once you're doing the act, it's all about accomplishing the mission. And I think those fears go away. You're well trained. You trust the people who have created the machine that you're operating. You trust the machine that you're operating, and you trust your own capabilities. And then you go get it done. Everything that we do as humans is dangerous. Getting in your car and driving to work this morning was dangerous. But if we are not out there pushing the bounds and exploring and trying new things, then we've kind of given up, and that's not where we need to go.
So, okay, when you're going through some of those feelings, do you have to try to hide them because you don't want anybody to know that you're dealing with legitimate fear and you're supposed to be the captain here? Or Are you able to be honest about it and sort of talk through what it is that you're feeling?
I take exactly the honest route because I want to express my fears. It's a pretty age we live in where we can do that now. And I want to enable space for my crewmates to talk and for ground teams to talk. And if we're all hiding our emotions, then you're tamping out people who might want to say something. So I try to be as expressive as possible and let people know when I'm worried or when I don't feel worried. I think it's important to communicate.
All right, we're chatting with Reid Wiseman. He's headed to the moon. Reid, we talk to baseball players all the time, and they are like the most superstitious people in all of sports. They get 3 hits in a game, and they'll wear the same pair of underwear the next day or something like that. I wonder, this is so much more significant than playing baseball. Do you have any superstitions when you go to space? Is there anything that you say like, hey, I got to keep this picture of my daughter, something like that you just, whatever it is, whether it means something or not, you continue to do and you will do when you're on Artemis 2?
Of course, I think we all have our own superstitions. I don't know anyone who doesn't. We will have a weightless indicator in the vehicle with us because we always fly with that. It'll be something like a stuffed animal on a string.
Okay.
So that when we're floating, we know we're in space. I do have some superstitions. I launched in 2014 on a Russian rocket, and there were layers of superstitions involved in that. So there will be a few, but right now I haven't quite sorted that out yet. I hope I'm underwear 3 days in a row, but I might be.
Can you tell us what they were in when you were on the last one? Can you tell us what it was?
Well, I think one of the funniest things, I flew with this great Russian, Maxim Sarayev. He was my commander. And a few days before launch, a black cat came out of the forest and ran across our path. And he turned around. I thought he was not going to fly. I mean, he was really serious, horrible. And then 2 days later, a dragonfly flew by and landed on him. And he was like, oh, that clears the cat superstition. So now we can go fly. And he was 100% serious.
That's so great. Reid, you've talked about, being an Orioles fan and a Ravens fan. I know this sounds silly and trite, but like, when you're on a mission, you are literally at work 24/7, and I imagine that can get, whether it's monotonous or difficult or the toll, as you mentioned, being away from your family, things like that. Can you explain, does it, being a sports fan, checking in, hey, what did the Orioles do last night, things like that, can there be legitimate help in dealing with that, being away from home and being constantly working in those situations?
100%. When I was on the space station for 6 months, the Orioles started sending up like 4-minute recaps of the games, and I would watch them in the morning. And I can't really talk about the weather with my dad or my kids, but I can talk about the sports game, and I can try to follow something. And as humans, we want any sort of connection. We're social creatures, and we want that connection. And so being able to follow sports teams, being able to, even when I was training in Russia, watching the Ravens play, I would stay up really late or get up really early to watch them. So that sort of connection back to home, it really means something.
That's awesome. It seems silly, but that's really great. All right, and then last one for you, if I could. Sig Mejdal, the assistant general manager of the Baltimore Orioles, worked at NASA. Did you guys, have you ever connected in any way, and do you have an understanding of how experience with NASA could help in what the Orioles have done in sort of, building this unbelievable team from out of nowhere in these last couple of years?
I love watching this team rebuild. I have not met Sig. I will have to change that.
Yeah.
But anytime, NASA is a team sport. Going to space is a team sport. We have a crew on the vehicle, and then we have an enormous support team in Mission Control, Houston, that are doing their absolute best to keep us alive and keep the vehicle achieving the mission. And I think that looks a lot like the Orioles or the Ravens. You've got these key players out on the field, but then you've got everyone in the dugout, everyone on the sideline, everybody in management, and you're all trying to achieve the same exact goal, which is to bring home that world championship. And I think there's so many parallels to those two worlds.
Astro_Reid on Twitter, and it's such a cool Twitter follow. If you guys, the last time he was up, it was amazing to see your pictures. Reid, I don't know what else there is to say, man. You're unbelievable. You're truly an incredible person and someone that everyone in this area is so proud of. It's going to be awesome to see you head up to the moon. Grateful that you spent a couple of minutes with us this morning. Would love to do it again down the road. Thank you so much.
If you could go back to be at Delaney High School and tell me that a kid at Perry Hall say something like that, it would blow me away. Have a great day, Glenn.
Thanks, Reid. That's Reid Wiseman, Delaney's own. He is, again, going to the moon, and I don't know how he hasn't connected with Sig Mejdal yet. That seems odd. That connection hasn't been made at some point. But incredible. Really, I'm humbled by it. It's funny when he says, like, I haven't jumped out of a plane. I'm like, dude, you're going to the moon. How could you possibly be afraid of jumping out of a plane? If my dumbass can do that, you're going to the moon. That's crazy to me, but really appreciate that, and truly very proud of Reid Wiseman and him representing our area and showing what you can accomplish. It's funny, like again, he went to Delaney. He didn't go to a private school. He didn't come from exponential wealth. He went to Delaney and then to RPI, and then joined the Navy, and that was his path to getting to NASA. It's pretty remarkable, and I think it's a statement to young people in this area about what it is they're capable of accomplishing. You can either be a mediocre radio talk show host, or you could go to the moon, one or the other.
Slightly above mediocre, right? That's
it depends on the day. There are days.
Okay.
There are days,
yeah.
right? Then there are days where I just say, no, mediocre. Just about right. Mediocre. I would have settled for mediocre from the Orioles pitching yesterday. Yuck.
Yeah. I mean,
yuck.
Like, what was kind? I mean, it was just very odd that they didn't really have that plan at all.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about at the top of the show. I'm just
Yeah.
very confused by what the thought process was. Like, in hindsight, if you didn't think Voth was ready to go for an extended, if you believe that Voth was ready to give you 5 innings, I am confused why you wouldn't have given Cole Irvin the shot to start. Like, that's the part that I just keep coming back to. Not to suggest that
we could put on so this is a tweet from Alex Fast who put on the tinfoil hat kind of, and he was so Irvin obviously started yesterday, had a decent start, and then
a really good start, didn't he?
And then he went 6 innings actually, 2 earned runs. I mean, we would have taken that for sure.
Well, I mean, look, let's not pretend like that means that's what he would have done. 6 innings,
but obviously
5 hits, no walks, 2 earned runs, and he had a solid 5-inning start before that. Like, he had pitched 7 innings in back-to-back starts. There's this one, like, I don't know if him being called up a couple weeks ago was what screwed things up, but it would have been outside the 10-day window since he had been sent back.
And the injury to Mullen should have, like,
provided the opportunity.
For them to just add that other, like, be
right,
able to
and
call
then
up
they could have replaced Aiken on the roster with Hicks in order to make that work if they had needed to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
But just so the director of team travel gets fired and Irvin is down in Norfolk, so the connection.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was quickly debunked because apparently this is retroactive to Friday, the firing of the team travel.
Yeah, it's according to Dan Connolly.
Yeah.
I don't have any thought whatsoever on the director of team travel being fired. Also, like, when I saw it, I was like, this must be somebody who's been with the organization for a long. If we care about the director of team travel being fired, it's got to be somebody who's been with the team for like 40 years. And then they were like, they've been with the team since 2021. I'm like, I'm sorry. I guess I feel bad for the person. I don't know them. I don't ever want anybody to get fired. I would like to think that if this is the case, there's probably more to the story than we're seeing at this point. But I just can't get all that worked up about a 2-year employee being fired. I don't know. It was weird when I saw
that Irvin maybe should have been in Baltimore.
Right. You think that this is all the fault. It's very weird in hindsight. Now, look, we weren't talking about it yesterday. It's not like we were demanding why isn't Cole Irvin making the start.
Yeah.
But we didn't know they were going the Keegan Aiken route until noon, essentially. And then we were like, okay, I guess if you're trying. And even then we were like, could you get 2 to 3 innings from Aiken and then go to.
Hyde thought he could get 2, and then he barely got 1.
It was a mess. I just don't know why that was the more desirable option. To Drew's point about maybe once they realized that Austin Hayes wasn't going to be available and they were going to be trotting out this
Hearn,
they sort of said, what the hell, like, it is what it is. But you scored 8 runs, and that's the very frustrating part of it. It's extraordinarily frustrating that when your offense has been struggling, you get a 4-run, 2-out rally. 2 outs, nobody on base. Off of Shane Bieber. You score 7. What was it? 7 off of Bieber?
Yeah. I think it was
7.
7. It was 7 off of Bieber.
And you can't win that game? But it also goes back to recognizing leverage situations. Like this, what one situation is going to be different yesterday, or the Guardians they were just cooking, and no matter what, they were going to cook.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a part of me that says, like, in the 5th inning, if the bases are loaded, maybe, and again, Cano, that's part of the problem with having to use Cano for more than an inning the night before. He almost certainly wasn't available. Although you do have an off day today, I think you could have used Cano in a situation, even if it's early, that could be the difference in the game. And ultimately, after that 5-run inning, they were never able to recover, and they never were able to get back in the game. It's really frustrating to lose a game where you score 8 runs and you put 7 up against Shane Bieber. That's with that lineup. That's very frustrating, man. That's very frustrating. But it's one game. I do, again, they don't need a starter, a 5th starter for a while. We did this math yesterday.
Yeah,
it's a while
like
before they need a
2
5th
weeks.
starter. Well, no, it's next weekend. It's not.
Or, yeah,
this,
you're right. Yes.
It's
Sunday. Next Sunday.
Is it Sunday or is it Saturday?
Saturday.
Yeah, it's not this Saturday. It's the following Saturday. Now the question becomes: do they want to hold out for that? I'm guessing they will. I think their choice will be to hold out, or do they want to go ahead and get a rotation to get? If Cole Irvin's going to be the guy rejoining the rotation, do they want to go ahead and have him start? What would that be next? Wednesday would be the next, turn
For
in the
Irvin.
rotation for a 5th.
Mm.
Well, yeah, if Irvin pitched yesterday, Norfolk's off on Monday, it would be his next turn for Irvin would be next Wednesday. Do you want to keep him on turn and keep the rest of your staff on turn by the extra day and have him start on Wednesday, or do you just want to use the off day to reset and have your next 5th starter be next Saturday? Cole Irvin was here to be a starter. He has pitched well. I think he's earned the right to start, to get this spot in the rotation. So I would be inclined to have Irvin start, whether it's next Wednesday or next Saturday, whatever you think is best. I would be inclined to go ahead and put him in the rotation next time through. I think at this point it would almost be shameful. It would be a bit embarrassing if the Orioles didn't do that. So it has to be the answer. It's just befuddling why they thought that was the answer yesterday.
And Bruce Zimmerman was scheduled to start today, and now Norfolk is rescheduling things. Apparently, Bruce Zimmerman will not make his scheduled start today, according to Rakubako. So,
but that, in fairness, that could be to replace Aiken in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the point of Aiken being here was to begin with. But if that's related to the Orioles, that doesn't necessarily mean that Zimmerman's starting as much as that could just mean
he's going to be a bullpen arm.
Right? Like the odd part being
are we I don't know, how much longer do we keep Sino Perez around? Like, he can't get more than one out at it. I mean, he can't get more than one out. That is literally his problem. Like,
it's really tough, man. And I tweeted about it yesterday, right? Like, I'm so surprised that CNL Perez was struggling in this situation. No, that you can't. You're right. You can't. There's no justification for it. There's no justification for CNL Perez to continue. I know we saw talent last year, but let's not pretend like there's such a track record with CNL Perez. And at this point, I do wonder even how desirable he would be, being available, because you have to DFA him, right? Like, I don't even know. I get it. There are teams that simply don't have a lot of talent and would say, let's take a shot. Like, I'm not saying it's certain. 2 weeks ago, I was certain that you couldn't get CNL Perez through, that CNL Perez would be scooped up because of the talent. But remember, it was like Eve Rosenbaum who found CNL Perez. It's not even like there's somebody else from the Astros system that would say, like, the people that found CNL Perez are all here now. So I don't know who that is.
And are we really that worried? I mean, like,
I understand the argument is, like, who cares if somebody does, right? That's tricky. Like, losing what they believe is talent and an asset, that's always a difficult thing for an organization to go through. I am far more inclined to agree with you that there's just no justifying it any longer. It was different when it was, hey, you got to create a spot for Dylan Tate who's got to go. And you said, well, it can't be Bauman, even though Bauman wasn't necessarily great yesterday. But no,
I mean, he's been our third best reliever.
Correct. We're not talking about Tate any longer. Tate's not going to be here anytime soon. So, like, what are you getting rid of CNL Perez for? To the point, is it Bruce Zimmerman?
Vespi or whoever else is down. I mean,
you're just giving somebody else a shot is essentially the answer. And I kind of get it. Like, this is so bad.
And he's a waste of a rod. He faces three batters and he gets pulled.
I don't
he
disagree.
gets 0 outs or 3 outs.
I don't disagree with you with this.
And I don't think he's ever gotten. Has he gotten? When's the last time he got 3 outs in a game?
I couldn't tell you when the last time was that he got 3 outs in a game. I'll pull up CNL Perez's game log. No, he's been brutal. I mean, just absolutely brutal. So no, and you might be right. Maybe that is what it is that they're finally making a decision on CNL Perez. They were getting everybody on the flight last night, and they were like, hey, why don't you come over here? Like, why don't you come chat with us for a minute? Everybody's getting on the flight except for you.
And I mean, it is disappointing just because of how surprising and how great he was last year.
No doubt. He was a revelation last year. He did get 3 guys out against the Rangers on what day was
first. So over the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was,
I mean,
I don't even remember this. What was the game on the 26th?
That would be Friday.
So
that was the
bloodbath. In the bloodbath, he got in and worked an inning where he gave up 1 hit. He has not had
and then it was the Thursday.
He has not had a really effective outing since the Angels on the 16th, where he went 2 innings and struck out 2 and did not give up a base runner. And I forgot that ever happened. I guess that's maybe their problem. Is that there was a stretch there, May 14th, 16th through 18th. So 3 games where he went 4 innings and allowed 1 total base runner. So that probably reset them and said he's figuring it out. He's getting back to what we expected him to be. And now, again, the last 2 outings have been dreadful. It's difficult. It's very difficult. I mean, I am with you. I'm inclined to say just get on with it. But I can see why they would say, but if the guy we're doing this for isn't somebody that we're confident in either, why are we doing it just to do it? I think that would be the tricky part for them.
Yeah,
I get it. I still think I'm with you. I still think you've gotten your answer.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with you that you try to get him through, and if you can get him back to Norfolk, great. If you lose him, you lose him. Life goes on. But for them, I think they might say internally, we're willing to do that. If we were if it was Dylan Tate, we'd be willing to do that. But to call up Nick Vespi, who's just never been that guy, why are we losing someone who has shown us he's capable of doing this at the major league level to bring up somebody that we have no idea if they're capable of doing it at the major league level? And I think it's I think that's a fair question that they would have to ask themselves if they were to make a move like that. Today's show brought to you by PressBoxOnline.com/offers. Where offers are changing all the time. If you said, I've been to PressBoxOnline.com/offers, offers constantly change because we're offering new sports bettors the best sign-up bonuses and promos from the 7 legal online sports books here in the state of Maryland. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers right now. Get offers like $150 in bonus bets from DraftKings after you place your first $10 bet. Or up to $1,250 in bonus bets from Caesars. Time is limited to get the best offers from all of the sports books. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers and sign up today. What a freaking disappointment Yannick Sinner is, man.
Oh, my gosh. Is he going to?
He's going to lose.
No way.
He's just such a disappointment, bro. And I'm Italian. So my family is Italian, so, I have this thing where I root for it. I root for Berrettini. What the hell? God, they're all just so disappointing. They're all disappointing. All right, we'll come back in. I do want to touch briefly on, there's been a lot of hubbub this week. The SEC is having their annual meetings, and a lot of talk about the NFL model. What is that? We'll talk about it next, and we'll get a tidbit and tuba to wrap it up. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
The All-America Senior Game powered by New Balance will be back at Johns Hopkins Homewood Field on July 29th. The most decorated girls and boys lacrosse players in the country have been invited to play in what is the premier lacrosse event of the year. Every college coach wants their players in this game, and if you dream of being in this game, you start by trying out for one of your regional underclass teams this summer. The best against the best. Get your tickets now at allamericalacrosse.com.
The Orioles are off and running, out to prove that last season wasn't a fluke, and they are one of the best teams in baseball. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, host of the Bat Around for PressBox. Tune in every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon as Zach Goodman and I break down every Adley bomb, every Tony Tater, and every save from the mountain. Like a warm hug from Rutschman, the Bat Around has you covered with all things Orioles as we embark on what's sure to be a magical summer in Birdland. So tune in every Saturday for the best in Orioles coverage right here on the Bat Around.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Costas Inn has been serving up delicious steamed crabs for over 50 years. Lately, the crabs you want to eat when the weather warms up have gotten harder and harder to get. So get your crab eating game plan in place. Make sure to stick this number on your fridge, 410-477-1975. Call ahead and reserve the size crabs you want. You may be able to walk in, but you may also be disappointed at the size or maybe even get shut out altogether. So call ahead, have a plan, and then arrive on your crab eating vacation. Costas also has delicious crab soup and crab cakes. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard. For more than 50 years, they've been satisfying crab lovers in and around Baltimore.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
If you need more of Glenn, you can also hear him every Sunday with Rita on 105.7 The Fan. But also, if you need more of Glenn, what's wrong with you?
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along here on a Thursday edition of the program. PressBoxOnline.com/contest is the website for you to sign up. Win 4 tickets to all of the area minor league baseball teams. I don't know why you wouldn't have already signed up by now, but if you haven't, you can also win a $25 Easy Pass Maryland on-the-go transponder and a $50 gas card from Royal Farms in order to help you get around and see all of these teams. Got to be 18 or older in order to enter. Again, PressBoxOnline.com/contests is the website. So a lot going on this week. This week is the SEC meetings. All the coaches and athletic directors get together down in Hoover, Alabama. Paul Feinbaum, that's what it is.
Marlon Humphrey country.
What's that?
Marlon Humphrey country.
Is
he Hoover?
Is he Hoover? I don't know.
I know
if
at
he's
the Hoover High School.
Okay, well then I'm gonna guess that he's Hoover. Like it's probably.
But it was like Herbert Hoover High School, so I don't know if it's the same.
Okay.
As the
I don't. I got to be honest with you. I know nothing about this. Oh, apparently they're not in Hoover this time. They're in Miramar Beach, Florida. All right,
okay,
I was wrong.
Forget it.
I feel like they were always in Hoover. I don't know why they're not in Hoover. The SEC baseball tournament's definitely in Hoover. The idea of the NFL model is thrown around, and everybody's like, "What the hell is that? Like, what is the NFL model?" Well, it's very simple. It's pay for play. That's what it is. The NFL model is that the schools would essentially pay the players. And it would get rid of all of these NIL collectives, and it would get rid of these shady individuals that coaches like Eli Drinkwitz are trying to scare us about that are involved with NIL, all of that type of stuff. The NFL model would be the school handles all of this, and the school decides how much they're willing to pay the player, and then the player makes the decision as to whether or not it's worth for them or they want to go somewhere else. My first, like, it's interesting for me when people try to pretend like there's a problem with the current system. And somebody says, well, it wasn't, that's it. This is what we're doing. We're just pretending like we're not doing it because it's not the school that's paying the money, but the school is working with all the people that are paying the money. This was brought up a lot during the Hunter Dickinson experience, which was that, what kind of offer is he going to get NIL-wise? And the schools undoubtedly were involved with, here's what we can help you find in NIL money in order to make this your decision. So if you're going to do that, if the school's going to be involved, why not just make the school own all of it so that we don't have situations where athletes are saying, well, I was promised this amount of money, but this person didn't come through for me. I was promised this amount of money, but this guy was not trustworthy, and now I'm pissed off about it because part of the reason why I came to your school was because I thought I was going to get this amount of money, and this person didn't come through for me. Well, if the school is handling all of it, then the school would have the ability to make sure that doesn't happen, right? Like, they would govern all of it, and they would say, hey, if
you're going to get paid.
If you want, whoever it is, Talia Tungavailoa to show up at your car dealership, we'll take care of that. You pay us, we'll provide that appearance with Talia Tungavailoa, and we'll be the ones that actually pay him the money. It would be, we deal with this in any business. In radio, for example, sometimes, I was just talking with 105.7, they're like, hey, we think we have an appearance for you, and we're working on it. I love that because it would be money for me, right? Like, I don't care what it is. But at the same time, if Jiffy Lube called me and said, hey, Glenn, we just want you to come out and appear, there's nothing that prevents me in any contract. I don't have any agreement with PressBox that says that I can't go do that type of thing. If PressBox, they had a deal with a casino at one point that involved me making appearances. And the casino paid PressBox, who then paid me. That would be the concept here, is cut out the ability for Jiffy Lube to come directly to Glenn and have all of it funneled through PressBox. Just project it for athletes who people actually want to have come out and do appearances. I guess my thought process, I don't care. We keep trying to talk about this like it's a problem. I don't view there being a problem here. Now, I can understand that there might be an argument for, because I've known these people over the years. Some guy comes up to Roman Hemby and says, hey, man, I'll give you $40,000 to sign a bunch of footballs for me, to, give me your game-worn jersey, all that type of stuff. And that guy, and Roman Hemby says, all right, $40,000, you got it. But it's just sort of an agreement. It's not really a contract because it's just a guy. And the guy's like, dude, just trust me. And then the guy comes back and is like, hey, bro, none of that stuff's sold. I'll give you $1,000. I'm not going to give you the money I said I was going to give you to begin with. And here you have a younger athlete, and I'm not suggesting that Roman Hemby's this guy, but you have a younger athlete who's like, oh, what the hell? Like, what the hell just happened here? So there can be an argument for it being a good thing and for there being a system by which the school can set up and say, well, here's what we think the value is and what we think we can get for this person, and we know better than to do business with, Joe Johnson. We know that guy's not legitimate. We know that guy is a fraud. We are not going to do business with them. But wouldn't the players just go around it anyway?
Right.
Like, I mean this with all due respect. I'm trying to think of what if PressBox said,
so
dude, we're going to pay you $100,000 a year and you're going to be exclusive to us, right? Like, you're going to be exclusive. We're paying you for your exclusivity. But then I found out from somebody else, like, hey, dude, all we're going to ask you to do is, like, we just want, I'm trying to think of what it would be. There's this event in D.C. Nobody will know about it. We just need you to come down, make an appearance, because there's this guy, he's a fan of yours. Oh, okay. Why would I tell PressBox about that? Like, yeah, $100,000 is good money, but I can make more. Like, why would I be opposed to making more? I don't owe anything to them on a Thursday night. I'm just going to go take the deal. I guess that would be my issue with suggesting that, like, the NFL model would solve the problem.
Right. So is it these schools that these kids go to, the school's going to have them sign something, basically? It's like, you only get paid by us?
You become, like, a contracted employee.
Which,
I'm not
sound bad. Yeah.
I'm in a weird place where I'm not opposed to that. I said this all along. Like, if the school is profiting off of the players, this has been a fine. We talked about this with Steven Eigenbrot not that long ago, where that is a weird bit for them. Like, they need the NIL collective, but at the same time, they're like, hey, if you're interested in giving money, we would prefer that you give it to the athletic department. Like, it's better for us to we need the NIL collective. That's important. But if you're looking to donate money, we would rather you donate it to the athletic department. So for them to say, let's just take ownership of all of this, and now the money that you're donating to the athletic department can go to whatever, whether it's getting an athlete, whether it's, funding for trips and things like that, whatever it is that we need, we can get the money in, and we can handle all of it, and we can make those decisions. I don't know what the right answer is. I feel like the coaches really believed that. I don't know what this is the funny part about it. I don't know what the coaches believed. Like, why they have a problem. What is the problem here? How is it affecting you? Is it making the product worse?
Does it have anything to do with the schedule thing that's kind of going around?
Well, the schedule's unrelated. The schedule's,
Okay.
they want to play another conference game.
Those are unrelated.
And those are two different things. Like, there's two different big topics that are going on. Like, does Eli Drinkwitz believe that NIL is the reason why he's not winning the SEC? Like, the fact that some guy that owns a pizza shop can just go approach one of his players, does he think that's the reason why Missouri didn't win the SEC last year? It's not. Like, nothing is going to create.
I guess maybe like so Saban's in favor of this NFL model. So I guess maybe
why
he's
wouldn't
thinking
Nick Saban be in favor
right,
of it? He's
so,
basically running an NFL team anyway.
I guess he's thinking that it would help with them continuing to, I guess, recruit all the best players, and it would help continue them, lock them down. Is it like the players would be signing? They wouldn't be signing like 4-year contracts, would they?
I think they could.
Okay.
I mean, potentially they could. The schools could try to offer that.
So I guess that would be why coaches
to say because they think it's going to keep
the
them out.
transfer portal.
Right. But how many guys are leaving Alabama that Nick Saban doesn't want to leave Alabama? Like, that's the weird part about this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going, I mean this with all due respect, if you're signing up to go to Missouri, I don't know what type of money it would take for you to say, yes, I'll lock in for 4 years so that no matter what happens, I'm stuck here. And if I don't think Missouri's in a place to be offering that type of money to someone that they don't know is a sure thing. This is so weird to me. I think you can do this. I just don't think it's necessary. I think whatever headaches it's caused coaches in, like, well, now we got to talk about NIL money while we're recruiting. Well, now you got to talk about contracts if you go to the NFL model. What is the difference? I don't think it's necessary. I don't think there's a problem here. I think they're trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist. I think they want to take power back.
Yeah.
And they don't like feeling as though the power belongs somewhere else. But that's never going to happen again. They'll never have the power. If they believe that pay for play will create a contract system and they want to try to force it, now it's going to be up to the players literally to choose they want to unionize and make decisions that matter the same way for the players at Troy as they do for the players at Alabama. This isn't the NFL. In the NFL, everybody's on equal footing. In college football, there's a vastly different situation at Navy than there is at Texas. So I don't know that a union would work. I don't know that all players would agree to it and would say that this is in our best interests. I don't know that the players are opposed to the model that they have right now, which allows them to profit.
Mm-hmm. And go wherever they want.
I have no doubt that some guys have been burnt by certain deals they've done. I have no question that there would be guys that would say, well, if the option is for me to get the deals on my own or just to have the school pay me, I don't know, I'd rather have the school pay me. But I think there would be some guys that would say, I don't know, why do I want to limit myself? I'm not opposed to it because I've never been opposed to the idea of the schools paying the athletes directly and just making them employees. Again, somebody would say at that point, well, why do they have to go to school? They're employees. Like, why do they still have to go to class? I don't know what the answer to that is. And that's going to be fascinating. That really is going to be fascinating in all of this. Like,
is it so it's like your GPA has to be 3 or like I don't that might even be high.
Yeah,
like I don't know what the
I don't know. But yeah, look, we'll see how it all unfolds, as that's been the big topic down at the SEC meetings this week. All right, let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you. God, Yannick Sinner gets the break back, gets back on, and now he's down. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be doing shows during the French Open. I can't. All right, Tidbit is brought to you by A.J. Michaels, expert and award-winning A.J. Michaels Heating, AC, Plumbing, and Home Performance will improve your home's energy efficiency and comfort levels. AC season is here. New rebates and discounts are available. More at ajmichaels.com.
All right, so George Kirby last night, big start for the Mariners. He became the first New York-born pitcher to throw 6 scoreless innings in his first career game against the Yankees since Hall of Famer. Who did this? 1919?
1990?
Yeah.
Christy Mathewson.
Waite Hoyt.
Oh, sure. That was my next guess.
George Kirby went 8 innings scoreless against the Yankees as the Mariners beat the Yankees last night in extras. But yeah, so that was just funny. I thought you might appreciate that one.
Yeah,
New York-born pitcher to do it against the New York Yankees.
I mean, sure. I'm always in favor of guys, kicking the Yankees' ass.
Kyle Schwarber had a very interesting May. He had 10 hits in the month of May,
and none were singles, right?
7 of those 10 hits home run.
Yeah.
Which is, he becomes the 7th player in MLB history and the first since this guy did it in 2008 to have 70% or more of his hits come via the home run with a minimum of 10 hits.
2008.
You're not going to get it.
Hang on.
Okay.
2008. Chris Carter?
No. It's Cody Ross.
Oh, I don't remember Cody Ross at all.
Was he a Padre?
Wasn't he a Ravens kick returner? Or was that Corey Ross?
Yeah.
It's like Corey.
Cody Ross. You can look up Corey. I'll look up Cody.
Yeah, right. I think the Ravens had a Corey Ross. I want to say he was from Nebraska. Corey Ross.
Ross the
was
boss.
Indeed from Nebraska. He was undrafted, and he was an undrafted rookie injured to B.J. Sims. Ross became the kick returner for the Baltimore Ravens in 2006. I nailed this.
My Cody was never a Padre. I was completely wrong.
And he was
a
with
Marlin
them. He was
this
with
year.
them again in 2007. 2007 they were bad, so I kind of blocked out most of 2007. But 2006, of course, at the time was the best regular season in Ravens history. We just like to try to ignore how that season ended, pretend like it never happened.
The Orioles, they did win despite the poor end to the month of May. The Orioles did win They won 35 games before June 1st with their win on Tuesday over the Cleveland Guardians. It is the second time ever in franchise history that the Orioles have reached 35 wins before June 1st. They also had 36 wins in June, before June in 1997.
How about that? They were good. They went wire to wire.
And so my favorite bit that I like to do, obviously, the lineup. Can you name the lineup of that 36th win? It was May 31st. It was also an 8-5 win over Cleveland.
Okay.
In May 1997. See if you can get the lineup here.
I'm not gonna be able to do it in order, but I'm assuming Brady.
Brady was leadoff.
Yeah. Alomar
was batting second. Went 3 for 3. Home run. Palmeiro was batting third. Now you have to.
There's no chance because
batting fourth.
Mm.
You can tell you what position he played? Okay.
Bonilla.
Not Bonilla. He was not in the lineup.
Was he only here in 96? Did he leave before 97?
He's only here in 96. Are we still paying him?
No, we are not paying him. But we are paying Chris Davis, and will be for some time. Then I don't remember when he came back. Would that have been Murray?
No, it was not Eddie Murray.
Because he came back in 90. No, he came back in 96. Was he still? Man, this is really hard for me to remember between the 96 teams and 97 team. All right, wait. B.J. Surhoff would have been in the lineup.
He was in the lineup. He was batting fifth.
That's fine.
Designated hitter.
The other question I'm struggling with is when did Eric Davis come back from cancer? Was Eric Davis in the lineup that day?
He was not in the lineup.
Yeah, because he came back later that season. He did miss, I thought, the start of the season. Harold Baines?
Not Harold Baines, not in the lineup.
Jeffrey Hammonds?
Jeffrey Hammonds was in the lineup. He was batting after B.J. Surhoff, sixth, playing left field.
Chris Hoyles?
Also homered. Not Chris Hoyles.
You're going to ask me who the backup catcher was
I know.
for the
You're
97
not
Orioles?
Hang
on a second. Let me think about it. Lenny Webster?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Lenny Webster, batting 167 at this point in the season. Did score a run, though. Drew a couple of walks.
Who the hell would have hit cleanup for that team? I still have 3 more guys I got to get.
Yes, you do.
Jeez. Well, Ripken, obviously.
Cal Ripken, he was batting fourth.
Ripken was hitting cleanup?
And he was batting fourth, playing third base. He did hit a home run, his 9th of the season.
That's the goofy part, is that Ripken was hitting cleanup. No, I knew he was in the lineup, but hitting cleanup that's a bit much. Bordick
was playing shortstop, batting 9th.
And so I'm
Even Bordy hit a bomb.
Wow. I mean, that is. So I'm
batting
missing,
7th, playing right field.
Playing right field. I don't know.
Tony Tarasco.
Tony Tarasco.
Who also homered.
Well, of course, you know why Tony Tarasco, what his famous moment in Orioles history is.
What is that?
He was the Jeffrey Mayer. He was the
outfielder.
outfielder.
He was.
Yep, he was the outfielder when. Yep, that was Tony Tarasco.
Tony Tarasco.
I tried reaching out to him 1 year around the anniversary, and he did not want to come on.
Really?
He had no interest in talking about it.
Must be enjoying life. That's fine.
I was like, all right, man. I mean, good for whatever. That was very interesting.
On the hump was Mike Johnson.
Who?
Mike Johnson.
I don't remember Mike Johnson at all.
He is in his baseball reference
Mike
picture.
Johnson?
He is in a Montreal cap. Yeah, he played 1997 with the Orioles. He only made 5 starts. This was one of them. And then he was traded to Montreal, and then he had a 5-year career with Montreal.
Mike Johnson. Yeah. I don't remember. I have zero recollection. I mean, 5 starts. I guess that makes sense. I have zero recollection of Mike Johnson as an Oriole. All right, very good. That one was one that's way more in my wheelhouse because it was a good team. Like when they're bad teams, it's almost
Name
impossible.
the 2008.
Yeah, right. Like, well, the 2008 wouldn't have been. I still would have known. In 8,
4, 3. What would those rosters be?
No, even 8. I guess in hindsight would have been tough because 8 would have been when they got Adam Jones.
Yeah, so Tejada was still around.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have been okay with 08.
Was Ty Wait? Now, do you want me to pull up a Ram 2008?
No, I don't. I really maybe for tomorrow, maybe or next week when I've forgotten about it. By that point, maybe we do that then. All right, Tubular is brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Orioles are off tonight. NBA Finals Game 1, Heat Nuggets, 8:30 on ABC. French Open coverage continues. Francis Tiafoe is in action right now on the Tennis Channel, but they're sticking with Yannick Sinner, who's about to lose. MLB Network, Phillies, Mets, 1 o'clock. Rockies, Diamondbacks at 4. FS1, Angels, Astros at 8. The Women's College World Series is underway right now on ESPN from down in Oklahoma City. Tennessee, Alabama, followed by Oklahoma, Stanford. Then Florida State, Oklahoma State at 7. Washington, Utah at 9:30. Round 1 of the Memorial on the Golf Channel gets underway at 2 o'clock, and Access TV for Impact Wrestling at 8. Some non-sports highlights?
Actually, not really. I mean, the Scripps National Spelling Bee on Ion. The finals are tonight.
Whatever
now.
Ion is.
Yeah, whatever Ion is. And then Paramount Plus, iCarly Season 3 is coming out on Paramount Plus.
Sure it is.
Last week, that we I don't know if you even mentioned it, but the Kardashian Season 3 came out on Hulu last week. There were posters for this everywhere.
If
over
you say
Los
so.
Angeles.
If you say that.
Yes. They were pushing Kardashians hard.
All right, very good. Thanks today to Drew Forrester. Thanks to Garrett Stallings and Reid Wiseman. That was awesome. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh my God, it's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Stan's in studio tomorrow.
Yep. Yes, he is.
Anything?
Stuff and things.
All right. Been a rough week. It was holiday week.
Yeah.
Griffin was on vacation. Been a rough week. Thanks everybody at PressBox. That's true. I do love Reid Wiseman. That was awesome. Thanks everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners. AJ Michaels, Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, Costa Sin, All-American Lacrosse, Birdland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio.
Should we stay here so you can call the end of the match?
I don't want to call it. I like. There's a part of me that just wants to be over already. You didn't see the last point. Altmaier had a sitter. He just needed to finish a smash, and he hit it right back to center. And so, like, it should have been over then. Now he's got another break. This match is infuriating. All right, have a great Thursday night. I don't care. Go whoever in the NBA Finals. I really don't care who wins. I have no.
Jimmy Butler and
I love Jimmy Butler, but Michael Malone's a Loyola guy, so I should probably root for them because they pay me. So but Haywood Highsmith's the Baltimore kid on the Heat roster. Go.
So you make your official predictions.
Oh, Nuggets in 5.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's
absolutely.
just everyone. That's what
Nuggets.
John Little Rock's.
Of course, Nuggets in 5.
I'll go Heat in 7.
Okay,
Make it fun.
Look at you.
Make it fun.
Look at you. You want to put a little side bet action on it?
So if it's not that, then
yeah. Well, I mean, you've got the Heat. I've got the Nuggets.
Is it a push if? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well,
you say the Heat are going to win the series. I say the Nuggets are going to win the series.
What do we do?
I'm not sure. I really don't know. I haven't seen anything recently. Is there a? All right. Whatever. Forget it. We tried.
Okay.
We tried. We can make it a singing bet. If the Heat win, I've got to perform Miami by Will Smith. And if the Nuggets win, you do Rocky Mountain High. All right?
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Or what's that? Spent the last year Rocky Mountain Way. Isn't that by Joe Walsh. You do Rocky Mountain Way by Joe Walsh.
Okay. I mean, I know Rocky Mountain High better, but fine.
No.
I guess I got to learn.
No.
So now I got to
We'll do
learn.
Rocky
So I
Mountain
got to lose
Stand.
and learn a new song.
Yeah, Rocky Mountain Way.
I do not know that song.
Yeah, it's a great one. All right, very good. Go nobody. Duke sucks.